ESPN's College Football Thursday, brought to you by Pontiac, official performance machines of the NCAA, and Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light.
The weather's as hot as the Cajun seasoning down here in Shreveport, Louisiana. Tonight's game available on ESPN HD. You get to enjoy it in high definition from Independence Stadium in Shreveport. Number 3 Miami taking on Louisiana Tech. Mike Tirico, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Dr. Jerry Punch, set to watch Larry Coker, who's coming off a loss for the first time as a head coach. Of course, in the BCS title game, the loss to Ohio State in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. On the opposite side, Jack Bicknell. His dad was the Jack Bicknell who coached at Boston College. Jack Bicknell, this one, was on the field in the Orange Bowl for one of the most famous plays in college football recent history, the Doug Flutie play, a teammate of Flutie's at BC. Temperature in the 80s, humidity is high. Louisiana Tech won the toss, elected to receive. Mark Jet kicks, and off we go on College Football Thursday. From 4 yards deep, Chris Norwood comes out, gets around the corner, and steps out of bounds at the 24-yard line. He's back there at the 24 is where the drive will start. Special teams tackle made by Tavares Gooden. Luke McCown, senior quarterback, one of 3 quarterback brothers who have played in college football. His middle brother is now a backup for the Arizona Cardinals of the National Football League. That's Josh. Randy was at Texas A&M, and now Luke at Louisiana Tech. Played against Miami in his freshman year and threw 72 passes against the Canes.
Luke brings 4 years of starting experience, coming off a year where he'd like to minimize his mistakes. He's excited for a chance at redemption off that year last year.
First one is a run to the senior Ralph Davis, who picks up about 4 yards. Mo Sykes in on the tackle for Miami. Now Davis comes in replacing Joe Smith, who was a 1,300-yard back in this spread offense. They're good receivers, Tremisian Davis, DJ Curry, Eric Franklin, Chris Norwood, all return, Lee.
Chris Norwood ranked 3rd in the WAC in reception. He's a sprinter from high school. Watch him try to go deep over the Miami defense, number 14.
Look at the offensive line on the Bud Light starting lineups after 2nd and 7. These guys love to throw it, but need to establish the run. McCown, a good athlete, throws on the run, and it's intercepted. That is inbounds and an interception as Sean Taylor went over the bench but comes back. Okay, so the junior who had 4 INTs shows what he's made of with the INT.
Ed Reed, 2 years ago, really, people thought about him very highly. I want to watch the athletic ability and the closing speed from Sean Taylor. After he sees play action, the bootleg, look at him close in and make that play. That's the best safety in college football, Sean Taylor.
And you know the problem with that situation is if Luke McCown could do it again, he'd do it again, because there's nobody else in that football team in Miami who could have got to that point.
Yeah, and he's also been practicing against guys that can't make that play. Very few safeties have that kind of speed.
The Canes start from the 47. Winslow, the tight end, comes back, and the first handoff is to Gore, 3 to the 34-yard line. Tackle made by Antonio Crow. So after the Taylor interception, great field position for Brock Berlin to start. I mean, it could not set up any better. After transferring from Florida, sitting out the year, he comes back, takes over Miami. He used to play at Florida. He grew up in Shreveport. First 2 games in Shreveport against Louisiana Tech and against Florida in 9 days.
And you talk about a good way to kind of transition into that starting spot. Defense comes up with a turnover on the second play. You take the ball for the first time in plus territory. Now you're looking for points early.
His first pass is incomplete. Dropped out of the backfield by Quatrin Hill. We'll call him Quad all night. That's what he likes. Sophomore out of Sunrise in Florida. He's in the backfield with Frank Gore, who averaged 9 yards a carry as a freshman. Then tore up his knee, set out last year. The receivers, Ryan Moore, Kevin Beard, and Winslow, the great tight end.
Keep your eye on that number 85, Ryan Moore. I watched that kid play at Dr. Phillips High School, basketball and football. He was one of the best all-around high school athletes I've ever seen. Ryan Moore will be a superstar at Miami someday.
And with the loss of Andre Johnson, they're looking for Moore to really become that go-to guy. He can stay healthy.
Needing to get to the 37, Louisiana Tech rushes 4. Berlin has time to survey the field, and it's caught for the first down at the 24 by the aforementioned Ryan Moore. Out of Orlando in front of Jaron Wisham, 18 yards the pickup.
the key part of that play was that Brock Berlin made a nice play action, and they faked the screen. Now watch this, Kirk and Mike. They faked the screen to get the linebackers to move to the outside, and then I want you to watch Kirk the follow through. Watch him step forward. Boom! Remember one thing about Brock Berlin. He was 2 years under Steve Spurrier, who's the best quarterback coach in all of football, and that guy knows how to play and knows how to coach quarterbacks. I think he'll be ready.
Yeah, and one of the things he did a really nice job of there was showing patience, being very comfortable in the pocket, letting the play develop, and waiting for Moore to clear the linebackers.
Here is Gore. He's going to gain a couple of yards before LaCorey Street, the right tackle, pulls him down. But a good pickup of 5 behind an offensive line that has to replace a couple of players. Vernon Carey, as Jerry mentioned at the very beginning of the game, went down with an ankle injury that's been bothering him all camp. But he did come out to start the game. We'll see how long he goes. Joel Rodriguez steps in to the center spot that Brett Romberg played so well over the last couple of seasons for Miami. Roscoe Parrish in the game at receiver, had his right knee scoped a couple of weeks ago. Berlin throws that way and nearly intercepted by Jaron Wisham. So Wisham saw Parrish sitting down for the ball and almost returned the INT favor.
That time Berlin saw soft coverage on the outside by Wisham, but Wisham, the defensive coach has told us that he is their best cover corner, willing to take a few risks. In that case, he did a nice job of coming up and making a play.
Good atmosphere here from these fans. Again, a reminder, Louisiana Tech's campus is in Ruston, 70 miles east of us. This is the biggest home game La Tech has had in the regular season. Needing to get to the 16 to keep the drive alive. Berlin throws complete. It is Moore. It is touchdown for the first time in his career. And there might be a lot more of that to come. A 23-yard hookup for these two guys who got to work on the scout team together last year. And how about Brock Berlin coming back to his hometown opening drive, and they go down the field. And he scores a touchdown. New kicker for the Canes. It's John Petty, a redshirt freshman out of Clearwater, Florida. And he scores his first point in his career. Miami, which scored in less than 2 minutes almost every time they had the ball last year, did it in a $1:48 that time. 6 plays and 47 yards. Lee told you that guy was for real after the Sean Taylor interception. Ryan Moore with the touchdown. Miami 7-0.
ESPN's College Football Thursday, brought to you by Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield for the ultimate garage floor. Olive Garden, where great Italian food tells you when you're here, your family. And new Windows Server 2003 from Microsoft, helping your business do more with less.
Well, Ryan Moore steps into the void, part of the void that Miami is trying to fill with the departure of the 3rd overall pick of the NFL draft, Andre Johnson. And Moore in his opening drive cashes in from 24 yards. Canes on top 7-0. Mark Gent to kick it off again. Knuckles down. It's taken by Eric Franklin, the all-time leading kickoff return man at Louisiana Tech. The senior brings it to the 23. Buck Ortega used to be a tight end, now a receiver in on the special teams tackle. The offensive line for Louisiana Tech comes back out, and let's introduce you to them. All are starting for the first time in their college career except for Aaron Lips. He's a sophomore but is the best of the bunch up front. And they need to protect their quarterback Luke McCown, who threw 19 interceptions last year, was so bothered by that McCown put the number 19 hanging in his locker over in Ruston to try to avoid the mistakes, and it happened on the 2nd play of the season. Ryan Moats in the game at tailback, 5 in the pattern, and McCown is brought down. He's sacked. Strong play off the corner for Javon Nanton, one of the 6 defensive ends we'll see rotated in for the Canes. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, you're going to see one-on-one matchup up on the outside. When Ryan Moore, the linebackers blitz because they're trying to get pressure on Berlin. The blitz is picked up one-on-one. That's pitch and catch for the Hurricanes.
And keep your eye on Frank Gore, number 32. He picks up the one linebacker and allows Brock Berlin to have a lane. The reason why that play was successful is good pass protection, but especially by Frank Gore.
I'd like to see a tailback step in there and pick up that blitz linebacker like that.
After the loss of 6, McCown adjusts the play out of the spread offense. It's that long handoff to DJ Curry. Necktied by Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor has made his presence felt very early here tonight. That's just a gain of 2 yards.
One thing you do if you're a defense, when teams are going to try to throw the bubble screens and the quick swing passes like that, is it's really about defending it inside out. The defensive line, not only the secondary trying to contain the receiver, the defensive line. And that time, the Miami defensive line, you could tell they've been well schooled with that. As soon as they read screen, they took off to run. This Miami defense can really fly.
The problem also with the quick screens against Miami, they play so many man-for-man coverages, they're right up on the guy.
They need to get to the 33 to keep the drive alive. You can already sense momentum dwindling quickly. McCown is flushed. He can run. He's a pretty good runner. He dives forward, but it's going to be 3 yards short of the first down. Baraka Atkins, a redshirt freshman, one of those 6 ends we're going to see here tonight for Miami, brought some of the pressure to force McCown out of the pocket, but they're going to have to kick it away. Dustin Upton is Louisiana Tech's kicker. 3rd year he's kicking. He was not so good his sophomore year, or freshman year. Really good his sophomore season. Struggled a bit last year. A lot of hang time, but room to return from the 34 for Antrell Roll, who breaks free, and he's going to go. There are no flags, and Miami's on the board twice in the first 5 minutes. Touchdown.
Touchdown for Miami.
Let's go, Miami! Let's go, U.S.!
I guess they're good again, huh?
Well, I think they're out to make a statement here in week 1. I mean, this is a great job of setting up the blocks by Antrell Roll. You can see he sets it up to get to the right, but once he makes that cut right there, he cuts back against the grain. There's nobody left. Nice blocking, but great instincts by Antrell Roll to take that all the way back. Miami means business tonight. Oof.
Well, that man, Jack Bicknell, told us is the extra point attempt by Petty is good. We sat with him yesterday in Ruston. What did he tell us, Lee? All I want to do is punt.
I hate to be in that guy's position. I've been there before. But don't turn off that television. They got Luke McCown throwing that ball.
It's been a while since Antrell Roll returned kicks back in his high school days. I guess he's okay returning kicks. It's a good option to have, huh? 66 yards. He takes the 36-yard punt back the distance.
Not a bad way to start the season.
The interesting thing, they got a guy named Roscoe Parrish sitting on the sideline and might be the world's greatest punt return. They might just have to put them both back there, because I'm telling you what, the way it looks right now, they're going to have to kick away from those guys. Boy, they're
Roscoe a little dinged up. That's probably opened the door there for Antrell Roll.
Right. Parrish averaged 14.5 yards per punt return last year, and Larry Coker's team had to stew all season after the setback to Ohio State in the championship game. The game they were so close to winning, and you never know what the focus is going to be in an off season. Will the guys come back with a little chip on their shoulder? It is the beauty of this sport that there's no preseason. So you have no idea what's coming out of the tunnel the first week of the year. And we've seen Miami not only has the people, but they also have the attitude that we've come to know. Mark Gent's 3rd kickoff of the season. A wise decision by Chris Norwood to stay back on the touchback. Well, you know, it's a huge weekend. We'll tell you what the Saturday doubleheader is, starting at noon Eastern on ESPN. Wisconsin, a chic pick by some in the Big Ten. Go to West Virginia, where they'll have to make some defensive adjustments on a surprise team last year. And beware of South Florida, as Alabama's had 3 different systems in the last 8 months. A lot going on. Mike Shula's debut for the Crimson Tide. All part of Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield presents ESPN's Labor Day kickoff weekend. 5 games in 13 days on the networks, Lee.
And Alabama has Oklahoma next week, and that's all they've been talking about in Alabama, right?
A lot of focus on Oklahoma. They better be careful. South Florida can play defense.
So 1st and 10, McCown and company start from the 20. Here's Ryan Moats, a sophomore scat back out of Dallas. Get it out to the 24. DJ Williams and Mo Sykes in on the tackle. Why don't we introduce you to this Canes defense that was as stingy as you had last year. They're going to rotate a whole bunch of guys on those ends. Baraka Atkins already has made a play. Vince Wilfork is the great personal story we'll get into later, and also maybe their best defensive lineman. Wilfork lost both of his parents in a short period of time last year. Played with a heavy heart in that championship game. But his world was enlightened in February when he became a dad for the first time. After the gain of 4, another pass loses 4 yards. This was thrown back to Freddie King, 5'7" wide receiver who caught 17 balls last year from McCown. One thing about Miami's back 7, they're all really fast, really fast. You see those guys on the front 4. They're playing 2 linebackers here in this game because they're in nickel so often. So DJ Williams and Leon Williams for Jonathan Vilma, the senior top tackler on this team who's out with injury, did make the trip. And in the defensive secondary, just speed all around. Marshall and you've seen Roll. You saw the interception from Taylor, Maurice Sykes, and Kelly Jennings close out that back 7. This is 3rd and 9. McCown had time. The pocket collapses. He could run for it. Now lofts one. Just not enough air under it. Throwing on the run for Ralph Davis, who got past his man, but it falls incomplete. And it's another punting situation.
One of the few ways you can try to hurt the Miami defense is they play so much man under with their 2 safeties deep. And if you have a quarterback that's mobile and can move around, that's what we've seen. Last year we saw it against Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh and West Virginia. Guys that can move around like McCown's trying to do, buy a little bit of time. You could try to slip a pass in behind that man coverage. Close that time.
Upton's first kick was 36 yards. Roll brought it back 66. Much better kick. Turned it over. It'll end up as just about a 60-yard punt there. Much better for Dustin Upton. Coming near his season long from last year, and the Canes will have a long field to work. So 8:26 remaining in the opening quarter, a 14-0 deficit, and a Louisiana Tech defense that was much maligned last year because they didn't stop many people, to be very honest. They gave up 40 points a game and 467 yards. Part of the reason. Jack Bicknell's in his 5th year as head coach, but he had new coordinators coming in, Rich Smith and Randy Bates. They couldn't get the full system in during the offseason. They feel their defensive package is much better as they head into 2003. Berlin's pass is incomplete and nearly intercepted. It slithered through the hands of Quad Hill and almost went the other way with Kevin Brown, the corner out of Oak Grove here in Louisiana. Here's their front 4 on the Bud Light starting lineups. Chris Van Hoy may be their best player, the defensive tackle, whose brother-in-law is PGA champion David Toms, the golfer, joining Cage Street and Wendell Crow up front. A couple of Texans, good Texas flavor on this roster. So much great high school football in Louisiana, but Texas only about a half hour or so across the border as you drive I-20 west. They bring in a lot of the East Texas players over to Ruston. On 2nd and 10, here is Gore. Only a couple of yards. Michael Johnson up for the free safety spot. Getting in on the tackle. Let's check out the back 7. T.J. Jackson, who's one of the reserve linebackers, was in there. Here are the starters, all from the Ruston area, with Hamilton, John Nash, and Antonio Crow. All guys starting for the first time this year. Kevin Brown and Jerron Wisham on the corners. Lee Johnson and Michael Johnson, unrelated free safety, strong safety.
One guy we haven't mentioned tonight, Kellen Winslow. It's Winslow time right about now.
It's a big play for Louisiana Tech's defense.
It's a 3rd and 8 play. It's a screen to Gore. He has 2 blockers. He has a first down, and he has more out to the 43-yard line. Joel Rodriguez, the center, and Chris Myers, the right guard, led the way on 21 yards for Gore.
Well, I think the defense from Louisiana Tech was thinking the same thing. That little pump fake there frees the linebackers just long enough to pick up some great blocks downfield. And Frank Gore is a guy, when he gets into the open field with a few blockers, can do some damage. They're lucky that didn't go the whole way.
Exactly.
Jack McNeil hoping to get his team off the field there, but the 40-year-old head coach watched Gore, who's back in action for the first time in a couple of years as well. He tore up his knee in the spring leading up to last season. A little confusion as the play clock ran down, so Berlin forced to take a timeout. Hard to believe that Gore was considered by some before last year better than Willis McGahee, who had 28 touchdowns last season. Well, Lee, Frank Gore is part of your Under Armour advantage for tonight's game.
Well, the thing I like about Gore is that he worked real hard last year on the scout team. The scout team had Brock Berlin and Frank Gore and Ryan Moore. I mean, those guys are good enough to beat most teams in the nation. The thing about Gore, he averaged over 9 yards per carry. He's got wonderful quickness and movement. The dominating pass rush is a secret to Miami's football. That's the question. Right now, they look very good, Kirk and Mike, but they're playing against Louisiana Tech. It's hard to judge them against these tackles, but they must get their great defensive linemen to play if they're going to do well this year.
We mentioned Gore back from injury. For more on that, Dr. Jerry Punch.
And guys, Frank Gore didn't have your garden variety ACL tear. It was much more significant. John Uribe, who works with the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Dolphins, did a miraculous job of repairing that knee for Frank Gore, as well as trimming the meniscus back. He had some minor complications that required some more intervention surgically a couple of months later. But Gore, according to Dr. Uribe, worked harder than anyone he's ever seen. He said the young man really, really wanted it so badly. He worked so hard in the rehab program and in the weight room to get back on the field today. You'll see the results. They think his leg is actually better than it was as far as strength-wise before he tore the ligament.
Well, it's funny, when Coach Coker was talking during the season, he looked over at Gore during the summer preseason and said, "How's your bad leg, Frank?" And he said, "Coach, I don't have a bad leg. He's done such a great job on rehabbing, and he didn't feel any of the stress and strain in returning." Devin Hester in motion, has it in his belly on the reverse. Nice cut up the field for Hester, who has the first down, easily moving to the 42-yard line. They told us to watch out for Hester on special teams, and he is a special freshman from Florida.
Devin Hester, Darnell Jenkins, Ryan Moore. We're going to see a lot of new faces on the outside. This is pretty much what the first quarters looked like early in the first series. Sean Taylor, the interception. Miami turned that into 6 points. Ryan Moore beats man coverage. Berlin puts it right on the money. And then Antrell Roll, first punt return for the Miami Hurricanes this season. Takes it all the way back, picks up some good blocks, shows the open speed in the open field to take it in. The Canes all over Louisiana Tech and on the move yet again.
This drive started at their own 20. The time for Berlin to set and throw. Perfect against the zone to Roscoe Parrish. Still going to the 18-yard line. Give him 26. Welcome to the Canes. Roscoe, 19 catches last year. Right knee scoped a few weeks ago. Parrish, Hester, Beard, Moore.
The thing that stands out right away with Brock Berlin, you talked about being around Steve Spurrier, his patience in sitting in the pocket and waiting for plays to develop. His receivers are crossing deep routes downfield. He waits for them to get into that open window and then puts it right on the money.
Did you see that block by number 32, Frank Gore? That's the reason why he had time. That kid can block.
From the 18. Looks like Miami started a hair early. It'll cost them 5. Officials out of the WAC, the conference that Louisiana Tech's a member of. Gene Semko leads the crew. Gene's microphone taking Labor Day weekend off. You know, we talked about the return of Brock Berlin and all the pressure. Do you think that's pressure that he feels on the field, even for those first couple of snaps of this game?
I think the first couple snaps, he's thinking about, you know, it's his first time to show his teammates what he can do. Family and friends here to watch him. But I think after the first couple snaps, that goes out the window. And at that point, it's about executing and looking at your reads and making the proper checks at the line of scrimmage. He's just out there playing football now.
Gore stumbled, still picked up 9 yards, and he was banged down at the 15 by Lee Johnson. We have a marker down as well.
Look at that.
I think we got that mic work, you think? Breaking it down. First and even longer for Miami.
We talk about Kellen Winslow catching the ball. Watch this block here, but that just, see that left hand? Anytime you put your left hand on the outside of the guy, they call that holding. Now, it might not be holding, but that's close. What I think it is. Now, remember one thing about Winslow. This guy is unbelievably big and strong, great athlete. He's got tremendous incentive. And Kirk, like you said, he might be the best all-around football player in this whole country.
I think he could be. He's put some weight on, and he looks thinner.
Yeah,
he looks like he's gotten thinner, but he told us he put on about 15 pounds. We haven't called his name out.
No.
And you know what? He says he's learned to really enjoy blocking. That was a part of his game he worked really hard on in this offseason, to get stronger and to become more physical.
First and 18 as Gore gets a lot of it back With his run up the middle, John Nash was trailing at the middle linebacker spot, made the tackle. It's a bizarre yardage, 1st and 18, because the penalty comes from the spot of the foul where it occurred.
This is a very, very difficult offense to defend. Forget about all the athletic ability, but the execution. Rob Judzinski, the offensive coordinator, we always talk about balance being a key. Not only does Miami have balance pass to throw, but they have balance when they distribute the football in their passing attack. It makes it nearly impossible to defend.
They have a standard pro set, 2 backs, 2 receivers. The tight end Winslow work in the middle. Berlin throws underneath to Quad Hill. It's going to be shy of the 1st down. Jeremy Hamilton, sophomore from Ruston, Louisiana Tech's home. Pulled him down with 3rd and a couple coming up inside of 5 minutes in the opening quarter. Miami still on a great regular season run. Of course, they lost the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, but they have won 32 regular season games in a row. One of many successful streaks for this Miami team. 15 in a row on the road is the best in the nation. Dominant again in the Orange Bowl. Looking to close out the Big East with another perfect season. And I said 32 here in the regular season. 3rd and a couple. It is Gore galloping for the 1st down. Stays on his feet. Strong to the 3. 1st and goal for the Canes.
We talk about Miami's skilled people, and I'm sure that they do have some great skilled people. But when you look at Winston, Carey, Rodriguez, Myers, and Joseph, their offensive line, coached by one of the best offensive line coaches in the nation, Art Kehoe, I think, personally, that's the strength of this football team. From what I've seen right now, they've given Brock Berlin all the time he needs. Gore blocks, Kirk.
Yep.
They got a nice offensive line.
They don't have any depth. I mean, they can't afford to have one ankle turn, one hamstring, one shoulder. Everybody backing up these starters are redshirt freshmen.
Winslow out here on the edge with Parrish. Maybe a fade to the big Winslow. Berlin will go to the right and knock down. The pass is, well, let's see, did it come out of his hands? A fumble? Yep. It was, and Berlin got it back at the 29-yard line. Lost it on the way up, and that's a huge loss. A quarter of the field. 25 yards back.
Well, he lost the football as he was pulling back to throw a gimme touchdown to Kevin Everett. He could have hook shot the ball out after the play action. Everybody comes down to Frank Gore. Look at Kevin Everett all by himself. And he could have closed his eyes and thrown that one. The ball just slipped out of his hands. You got to wonder with the humidity here if the ball just got a little bit wet and slipped right out of his hand.
You know what, that happens a lot when the center sweats. He sweats right on the football and makes it wet.
Jonte Price stayed with the play. 2nd and goal. A lot of the field. That's okay. It's intercepted. T.J. Jackson, who's been active, the junior linebacker out of Columbia, Mississippi, comes up with a huge interception for Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech, only 5 interceptions all last year. Comes up with a huge one here in the opening quarter. Back here in Shreveport, they continued to play, and while we were away, a 26-yard pass to Trevisian Davis, and Ryan Moats just scattered 41 yards. Louisiana Tech has moved inside the red zone. They are at the 19. So Davis with the pass catch, Moats with the run. Excitement back in here for Louisiana Tech. They spread it out, 5 wide receivers. McCown hit as he throws, got it complete to Julius Cosby, who is shoved out of bounds at the 14, taken out hard by DJ Williams. Miami's defense has had their attention awoken after the 2 plays. First, Luke McCown to Trevisian Davis. He picks up 26 yards as McCown, who is mobile and athletic, put it up high, and the athlete Davis at 6 foot made a nice play.
Again, against man coverage, being able to slip right behind that corner. Miami went back to a 4-3, their original defense. They've been playing a 4-2-5 tonight. They caught Miami out of position there, and the next play, they went back to having 5 defensive backs into the game.
McCown adjusts the play with the line on 2nd down, and the tight end, Anthony James, I believe, moved forward too quick.
Dead ball foul. False start. on the offense. 5 yards, still second down.
James, a player, is in there for one of his first snaps.
Isn't it interesting in the game of football? The more I see it, I've been around, you can have a great defensive interception like that, makes a great play, and all of a sudden the offense starts playing. I've never seen anything like it. I can remember Notre Dame intercepted Chris Ricks last year in the middle of the game, and their offense took over and scored right away.
Especially in a game like this where Louisiana Tech needs something positive so they can believe.
They need emotion. They need momentum. They need everything to kind of fall their way to get some confidence going, especially when you start off the way they did in this game.
McCown with 3 receivers. Going for Tremisian Davis again. Out of bounds. Incomplete. And boy, that was really close to 6. Kelly Jennings in on the coverage. He was trying to tightrope the sideline with the ball in the air.
Let's take a close look. It looked like his right foot stepped out of bounds right there, right as he made, and he actually doesn't have possession yet anyway. Great call there. Great call. Even if he had possession here, he's still out of bounds. Right foot's out of bounds right there. Good call.
Derek Rohn Dunn, the field judge, is right on the spot for that call. 3rd and 8. They're in field goal range, and they have a terrific field goal kicker. Don't make a mistake here if you want to get points. Timeout. McCown was trying to get him into something. He started getting afraid really quick. Back in a minute to watch the 3rd and 8 coming up as Louisiana Tech tries to get on the board here in Shreveport. They're expecting over 40,000 tonight. If they get there, it'll be the largest home crowd in Louisiana Tech football history. This is their home game. They play one a year here in Shreveport. 70-minute drive, 3rd largest city in the state of Louisiana.
They've won 3 in a row here, Mike.
Including Oklahoma State.
Exactly. They got a home winning streak going.
Trying to get to the 10 to keep this drive alive against number 3 Miami. High snap. McCown did a nice job to get it and got rid of it. That is a play that goes right back to the number 19 hanging in Luke McCown's locker. The interceptions he threw last year, he said, I'm going to throw the ball away and live to see the next down. It's exactly what he did there.
He's done that 2 or 3 times in this first half where he's had it. You can almost see there's a tendency for him to want to pull the trigger, but then he thinks better and he makes the adjustment to throw the ball away. Last year, you're right, he would have thrown the interception trying to squeeze it in there. He's not doing that so far.
And that snap is why 50% of the coaches in America don't like the shotgun.
Josh Scobie, NFL leg, terrific kicker from 35. Nice job by Maxie Causey to get the snap down. And it's good. And Louisiana Tech is on the board, 14-3 here in Shreveport. So an absolute must drive is converted with 3 points for La Tech. And they get on the board here in our opener on Thursday Night Football. I think we had a lot of questions about Miami. Not if they were talented, but are they going to be at that level right away? Yeah, they have Florida in 9 days. This is a road game against a team that could put points on the board. They showed me a lot in the first 5 minutes getting those 2 touchdowns.
A lot of athletes. I'm very impressed with the offensive line. Brock Berlin threw 1 interception, but they should come right back to him, let him complete a pass. Good-looking football team.
I've been impressed with the defensive speed. You know, they lost 6 of their top 8 defensive linemen. A lot of questions where they have the speed at defensive end. These guys have stepped right in there, put a lot of pressure on Louisiana Tech, and of course their back 7 can fly and run with anybody in the country. But their defense has really stepped up and shown us something, I think.
And Jerry mentioned it when talking to Larry Coker before the game. And they had 25 guys at one point during the 3 weeks of camp that were banged up. And they went through a bunch of little injuries here and there and some more significant injuries. And they got a half dozen guys who are not playing tonight who are players for this Miami team.
You know, I've had this situation before as a coach, not on the side of Miami, but on the side of Jack McNeil. Sometimes the other team scores so fast, so quick, they have a tendency to lower down and
let their guard down.
Devin Hester said he wants to take his first Canes kickoff back for a touchdown. He barely gets it back to the 20-yard line. That's the freshman who touched the ball earlier with standout speed. There's a lot of college football action on this opening Thursday of the season. Tonight at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield presents ESPN's Labor Day Kickoff Weekend continues. Georgia Tech taking on Brigham Young. These 2 teams hooked up last year. They do it out in Provo coming up in about 1 hour and 5 on ESPN2. Interesting with Georgia Tech, an experienced quarterback in Suggs. Figure that guy would have the job, and a freshman comes in.
True freshman.
That's
exciting to see.
Going up against Gary Croton's BYU team. Gary was the coach here at Louisiana Tech. And then Jack Bicknell took over. A penalty for a hold on that return to the 20. So Miami will start its drive from the 10. I know a lot of new names for a lot of the college football fans, so just get adjusted as the season goes on. ESPN.com has a great rundown on all the teams and what's going on, including top 10 to watch in the Big East as the season goes on. So log on this exciting Labor Day kickoff weekend and get adjusted to the new season. Frank Gore, 15 first down yards out to the 25. Let's go visit with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Yeah, as we mentioned how thin Miami is in the offensive line. We talked about Vernon Carey, who sprained a left high ankle back on August 17th and re-sprained that same ankle during warm-ups today. Now, he played the first 2 series but was limping progressively worse on each sequential play, so he has not been in the game since the second series, and I doubt we will see Vernon Carey back tonight.
Thanks. Is that a Buckeye hat? Is that the old Woody O hat? Did you see that?
What's that doing on the Miami side?
Somebody down there on the side. I wonder if that's like an inspirational reminder.
Motivation.
That's pretty cool. All right, Doc, thank you. We'll watch for Carey. First down picked up by Gore. Berlin flushed high, juggled, and incomplete. Almost intercepted as it was in the air. Michael Johnson was a part of the mix.
The only way you're going to be able to stop Miami, we've seen it when they have struggled very few times, is to put pressure on their quarterback. That time they got a little bit of pressure. It caused him to throw the ball high to Gore. Almost made a circus catch, but he also almost gave up the interception.
If you look at it real close, Brock Berlin has not been the same since he went back to roll out and drop the football. Interception and not smart passes.
Slips once, you're a little more careful.
Exactly.
A little more careful, slows it down. Winslow comes out of the backfield, leads the way, but they never get anywhere near the line as Gore is taken down for a loss. Jamel Cage out of New Orleans made the tackle, and what should be the end of the opening quarter. Well, about 10 minutes ago on the clock, it looked like a long night in Louisiana for Tech. It might still be a long night, but at least they are in it. And their fans are staying in it. 3rd and 10 will start quarter number 2 after 15 on the opener on College Football Thursday. Miami by 11. With Dr. Jerry Punch, Lee Corso, and Kirk Herbstreit, Mike Tirico, our entire Thursday crew back with you for another season. A terrific slate of games coming up all the way through Thanksgiving night in Starkville when we see Eli Manning and Ole Miss take on Mississippi State. We'll be in Miami in October to see the Canes take on West Virginia tonight. They are in Shreveport and leading by 11. The offense has put 7 on the board. The other one, special teams. It's officially 3rd and 11 to start the second quarter. Quarterback Brock Berlin will throw on the run. Incomplete for Ryan Moore. Both Kellen Winslow and Moore were in the same area, and it's 4th down.
That crossing route has been there all night for Miami. Time Moore should have held on to that football for the first down.
But Mike brought up a good point. I'm not so sure he wasn't distracted by his own man Winslow going in front of him. Could have been.
As we work on some bugs with our 1st and 10 line. Work that out. Brian Moore is on to punt. And Miami is forced to take a timeout. Miami only had 10 players on the field for Brian Monroe's first ever punt. The freshman out of Palm Beach Gardens won the job for Larry Coker. A much more athletic player, chance to run some tricks. They just want to kick here. See it in a minute.
ESPN's College Football Thursday, brought to you by Under Armour Performance Apparel. The advantage is undeniable. And Romano's Macaroni Grill. Welcome into our kitchen and into our heart.
Temperatures still in the 80s, but it's a cooling breeze that is much needed on these steamy summer nights here in North Louisiana. So here is Brian Monroe's first ever collegiate punt. Had to move to get the snap. Did a nice job to get rid of it. Wisham tells everybody to get away from it. It works out much better than it could have. Louisiana Tech will start from the 29. A 47-yard first punt for Brian Monroe. So Luke McCown will come back out on the field. Lee and Kirk, we were talking earlier about Luke McCown with his brothers and the pedigree of quarterbacks. His parents have traveled across the country. One brother starting Randy over at Texas A&M when things got going, and then the brother who's now playing for the Arizona Cardinals, Josh, was at SMU and Sam Houston State, both in the state of Texas, where the McCown family is from. Luke came across the border east one state to play here in Louisiana. Gives it to Ryan Moats, who looked good on that last big carry. He's not an unknown anymore. Vince Wilfork led the charge to go get him. And the 5'8" Moats loses a couple of yards. What's your impressions, guys, of McCown? Lee, we saw there is Moats slower to get up than I thought. He is shaken up on the play.
Well, first of all, when you go to Luke McCown, you got to understand he's playing against one of the best group of athletes that he'll ever play against. And Kirk, I like his poise, though. He threw the interception, but as you said before, nobody in America might not have made that interception except Taylor. Right. So I think he's played very, very well to keep his cool. I like his performance so far.
He's made some good decisions, right, considering what he's had to work with. And this, Mike, you touched on earlier. This is a guy as a freshman went into the Orange Bowl and put 31 points up on the board against the Hurricanes, threw for over 400 yards with 3 touchdowns. When you guys talked to him, we talked to him about it. He just says that, you know what, it was one of those games where I was young, just kind of backyard football, just thrown to the open man. Now he's seeing things, and he's seeing a completely different defensive look from the Miami Hurricanes this year compared to the year 4 years ago. As they check on his running back, let's visit with Chris Fowler back in the studio.
Well, Michael, Maryland has just one tune-up game before going to Tallahassee, and it's in DeKalb tonight against Northern Illinois, one of the co-favorites in the MAC. Incomplete in the end zone, but the no-brainer by Nick Duffy of the Huskies prolongs the drive, and Maryland on the opening march without Bruce Perry looks to Josh Allen for the touchdown. They're up 7-3. You got him twice on Thursday coming up this year.
That's right. We will see the Terrapins, Ralph Friedgen's team. That is a game that's a better game than it sounds. Northern Illinois is a tough team. That's a be very careful type of game. Opening up on the road on a Thursday night against Northern Illinois. McCown has Ralph Davis back as his running back. He's being chased. And is chased out of bounds by John Square, who showed more poise than you saw on the prior play that Chris had the highlight of. Didn't take the late shot out of bounds. Square, a junior out of Houston, Texas. Missed a good bunch of the preseason with a shoulder injury, but put a healthy shoulder into McCown, the senior quarterback. Again, not to make too much of this, but again, instead of trying to throw it back against the grain into coverage, which he would do from time to time last year, again, just you could tell the coaches have worked over and over. Take the sack, throw it away, run out of bounds, don't worry about it. A punt's much better than a big turnover. Especially down here at the minus 30, your own 30. Faked it into the belly, gave it into Davis, I should say, and that's 5 yards later than he started. Baraka Atkins, redshirt freshman off the end. 6'4", 255. Their freshmen look like seniors. Look at that guy. He lit up camp and impressed everyone this year, so they lose 5 on that one, and we'll kick it away with Dustin Upton. Last kick was 60. One was taken back by Antrell Roll, and now Roscoe Parrish is back deep to receive. This is the guy who had the great average of 14.5 per kick last year. Fair catch signaled and made a 45-yarder. That would have been a halo violation last year. Yeah. But the halo violation is gone. Bye. We've had an impact on the game. Isn't that wonderful? We're proud of that. Great to kick off our College Football Thursday schedule in high definition on ESPN HD. Sponsored exclusively by Phillips and Best Buy. And fans, you're going to be able to see great action this season every weekend on HD. You know, when the NFL season starts here in a week or so, it's going to be great. You get your Saturday, College Football Saturday primetime game with Ron and Mike and Adrian in HD on ESPN HD. Then the Sunday night game with Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann, Paul McGuire and Susie Colbert. That'll be in HD. And then Monday Night Football with Al and John and Lisa Guerrero. That'll be in HD as well. So you're going to have HD Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night on ESPN and ABC. It's really cool. Great to start our Thursday season with it as well. Kellen Winslow. There's a guy you don't need to see in HD. You can have a good old pocket TV, and he's huge. Picked up about 6 yards. What about the offseason with Kellen Winslow? Because here's a guy who, as you mentioned, Kirk, had a stud game in the championship game. 11 catches for 122 against Ohio State. It really took on a lot of the leadership role here in this offseason.
Well, he's definitely become one of the more vocal leaders, and I think a guy that everybody's turning to not only to make plays, but to inspire his offensive linemen, his quarterback, his receivers, and he welcomes that pressure. He wants to be able to be that guy. With the loss of Ken Dorsey, that's a big role for Kellen Winslow to pick up.
He was in the huddle, then came out. His personnel was not set, and Miami was forced to take a timeout for the second time in that same situation tonight. 12:37 remaining here in the first half. Well, the leader, Winslow, trying to get sorted out with the quarterback. Got to get on the same page here on opening night. Big night here in Shreveport. Population 200,000. Highest ranked team, the number 3 Canes, to play in Shreveport since number 1 LSU played here in 1959. They beat Baylor. After the Miami timeout, 2nd and 3. Canes looking to get past the 40, as you see on the yellow line. And Jarrett Payton is in the game. And the son of the late Walter Payton is stopped by Lee Johnson. Before 3rd down, let's see what Chris Fowler can add to the telecast.
You do not walk into Husky with an IE Stadium in DeKalb on a Thursday night and expect to smack around Northern Illinois. It's Josh Hawley to P.J. Fleck. Does get the foot in. Michael Turner not really going off so far, but the Terrapins, before they get to Tallahassee, have to survive DeKalb. Down 3, guys.
Michael Turner, their terrific running back.
Be careful.
Chris had to be listening to us during break because we just said you don't walk into DeKalb on a Thursday night, right?
How about that toe touch there? That was sweet.
3rd and 4. They go over the middle for Winslow. 1st down and more across the 45. Ball came down, but they say after Winslow was down, Miami had Jarrett Payton recover it anyway. It is 10 yards and a 1st down pickup for the tight end.
Anytime Miami gets into 3rd and 4, 3rd and 7, Kellen Winslow is a guy the defense will key on, and this time they tried to key on him using a defensive end, Jamel Cage, to drop back. But whether it's a defensive end, a linebacker, a safety, it's a very difficult matchup because of the size and the athleticism of Kellen Winslow.
That was a hot pattern. When the linebacker blitzed, it was an automatic quick pass to Winslow.
They tried to take it away by dropping that in, but he's just too fast.
Berlin tried to pump and go. Got loose to let it loose downfield, but underthrew it and almost was caught by Parrish as Kevin Brown whiffed on the INT. Man, a lot happening there for no gain. Come back for 2nd down. If you're just tooling around the remote at 8:45 back on the East Coast, here's what's happened. Brock Berlin had the quick strike. First drive is the Miami quarterback. Touchdown to Ryan Moore, the freshman, 24 yards, 7-0.
Well, right after that, they came back with their first punt return of the year. First attempt for Antrell Roll. He takes it all the way back to put Miami up early, 14-0 in the first quarter.
But the big play on defense comes from T.J. Jackson, number 52, the linebacker. Intercepts it, and the momentum stopped right there.
Louisiana Tech added a Josh Scobie field goal. Here is Payton, left side. Gains only a yard or so. 3rd down coming up. Payton getting this series as Frank Gore sits out. And I think you've all heard the story, but worth refreshing you. Jarrett Payton, who was tackled by Antonio Crow. Jarrett's the son of the late, great Walter Payton. His career has really never been able to get going. He sat out the year when his dad was ill, he's most ill in the stretch, and unfortunately passed away so young. As Jarrett has come back, he's had concussion problems over his career. He's also had some great backs in front of him, like Willis McGahee. But here he is in his final go-around, trying to be more of an impact player on this Miami team. He's a safety valve on 3rd and 9. This pass is caught for the 1st down to Ryan Moore, this terrific freshman, has it at the 36-yard line. Miami 6 of 7 tonight in picking up 3rd downs.
Ryan Moore is 6'3", 205, and as I said in the pregame show, I watched this kid play basketball as a sophomore. I said, there's a superstar. He makes a good read here, Kirk. Against cover 2, he runs into that little zone area. Berlin hits him. Ryan Moore is a great football player, and even going to get better and better because he's a hard worker. But what an athlete, Kirk.
What a playmaker. When you talk to the coaches about him, the first word they say is he's a playmaker. If he can stay healthy, he's the guy that's going to replace Andre Johnson. 1st down, 5 in the pattern for Berlin. Be careful on those throws. Incomplete for Frank Gore. He's had a few of those tonight where he kind of jumps and throws it at the same time right over the middle, right into all that traffic.
And the one thing about Brock Berlin that we got to remind everybody, this is not like a rookie coming in there. This guy played 12 games for the Gators, threw 11 touchdown passes, completed over 60% of his passes, and had Steve Spurrier to work with for 2 years. So the guy is not one of those fresh rookies coming out of nowhere.
Not only that, he got a chance to run the scout team last year in his transfer year and went up against one of the best defenses in the country every day in practice.
Pump to the right, back to the left. Trademark Canes play. Gore makes it work for the first down across the 25. As soon as his helmet came off, the ball was dead immediately there. It's a rule put in a couple of years ago to try to protect the carrier, ball carrier. Vernon Carey, injured earlier in pregame warmups, has been spotted on and off in these series. He threw a nice block ahead of Gore. There's Big Vernon, the senior.
Anytime you see a player come back from a serious knee injury, you always wonder. It's one thing to have a player come back with a healthy knee, but a lot of players talk about the mentality, getting back in, taking the first few hits. Frank Gore is a player tonight. It's his first game action since that injury. He has not hesitated one time to get into traffic, lower his shoulder, and even pull away from people or they're trying to hold on to that leg. He's 100% and looking good.
Buck Ortega in the game for Miami. Berlin throws the other way. A lot of contact. It's incomplete. On the pass intended for Kevin Beard. Jaron Wisham once again on the coverage. He's been mentioned a lot here in the first half. It's a big stretch for Louisiana Tech, trying to keep it just an 11-point game about a third of the way through this second quarter. Jack Bicknell takes on a brutal schedule again this year out of conference. Game here, game in East Lansing against John L. Smith and the Michigan State Spartans, and a game in November in Baton Rouge downstate against Nick Saban and LSU. He just kind of ease into it all with the Canes. Gore got away from 4, but they finally got to him. I'm going to get you, buddy. Hang on there. Trevon Brown out of White House, Texas, finally caught up with the sophomore from Coral Gables.
You got the penetration there. This is different than Willis McGahee. Willis McGahee is going to run through you and run by you. Frank Gore is elusive. He's got great vision. He's going to squirm and wiggle and find a way to get by you.
Smaller than Willis.
Smaller, not as powerful, has plenty of speed, but great quickness and great vision. He's tough to just grab a hold of.
And remember the key point about that freshman yardage, he averaged over 9 yards per carry. That's what's amazing.
Not too shabby.
Need to get to the 16 for a first down. Roscoe Parrish is the move man. Here is Berlin going for it all. Incomplete. Winslow had a hand on it, but Michael Johnson, the free safety, helped in the coverage. And we'll see if Miami tries a field goal here, which would be from about 42. John Petty is the kicker. The holder is Matt Carter, a walk-on from Columbus, Ohio, by the way. Here is Petty, who walked into Larry Coker's office this summer and said, "Coach, I don't want to just win the job. I want to be the best kicker ever at Miami." It starts here. A couple of extra points, and this field goal, which is no good. So Petty from 42 yards is off the mark. And Jack Bicknell's team has reason to still believe. Only down 11 to the number 3 team in the country. Well, it all began 4 years ago for Jack Bicknell as a head coach, taking on Florida State. 4 years ago tonight, they've been at some high points, including playing well at the Orange Bowl, beating Oklahoma State. But you see his reaction, very encouraging to this team. Lee, when you look at it, it's 14-3, 7 are on a punt return. This defense has played pretty well thus far.
They played with a lot of aggressiveness, and Kirk and I talked to the defensive players. They were so much more confident. They've had 3 different defenses in 3 years. They didn't know what the hell was going on. Remember, they said, we don't know where we're going. Now, at least they know the lineup.
And they've made some great adjustments,
yes, they have.
It's this Miami offense.
Ralph Davis back in the backfield on the run. Man, wide open. It's caught. Couldn't keep his feet, but Eric Franklin flipped the field to the 18-yard line. 58 yards. A some big plays on Miami here tonight.
Well, we've talked about Miami playing so much man under coverage. Their two safeties get deep. That time, Mo Sykes just gets lost. They're very, very lucky that that ball was not thrown right on the money. By the way, did you see the throw on the run? He threw that about 55 yards moving towards the sideline. Great throw by McCown.
All the way around. Franklin, the great speed to catch up to the ball after McCown gave it enough air. Now they put it on the ground, and the Canes have it. And this is D.J. Williams, who was one of the best high school running backs in the country. You're not catching him. Touchdown. And just like that, put a pin in the balloon. They scored on offense, defense, and special teams.
And remember when Ryan Moats got hurt? As soon as he got hurt, they brought Davis back in the game with no timing, and he fumbles the football. And that play right there could, I'm just saying it, could ruin this football game. And maybe, if they don't lose a lot of confidence, that could ruin the season. Because what that does, Kirk, is they now go over.
Penny's extra point is good, and it's 21-3. De La Salle High School in California.
Put some wheels
is
there.
one of the best high schools in the nation. He's a linebacker now, but he was a stud running back. That running back put it on the ground, and the other guy made him pay. No player on this Miami team coming back had more starts than that man right there, D.J. Williams. Starting his 27th game here tonight, was the National High School Player of the Year. Big-time running back, a lot of people thought. Flipped him over to the defensive side when he got here to Miami, and could end up being a very high-round linebacker pick when we get to the NFL. He went to De La Salle High School. The quarterback for Miami, now Brock Berlin, went to Evangel Christian High School Academy, I should say, here in Shreveport, which is the second best high school team. And those rankings are so hard to figure out. How do you know who's the best? But those two schools represented on this roster, and they will play each other in October on ESPN2, those two high schools, on October the 24th. Kickoff return from Norwood. Buck Ortega pushes both the receiver and the official down.
All I know is when you talk to Larry Coker and the rest of the Miami coaches, and they talk about D.J. Williams, for the last 2 or 3 years, their faces just light up. And for a team that has so many athletes, to say that D.J. Williams could be the best athlete on the roster, that gives you a pretty good idea at 6'2", 240 pounds, what kind of athletic ability he has. And Mike, in April, Mel Kiper and the boys will be breaking him down probably in the top 10 or 15.
Well, such a deflating play for Louisiana Tech. They take it over at the 16. It's an offense that has only run 18 plays to Miami's 31 here in the first 22 minutes. McCown's pass is incomplete. Blanket coverage by Leon Williams, as the pass was intended for the sophomore Freddie King. Well, you talk about first-round talent, Mel Kiper and Chris Berman and company on the draft, talking about some of the big names.
Yeah, Miami's had a few.
How about this? 26 players in the last 3 years, the best ever. 13 first-rounders, and they've really dropped off, guys. I mean, they've been number 1 or number 2 every game they've played in that stretch until tonight. They take the field as number 3. First time they've not been 1 or 2 in more than a couple of years. King has it in his hands again. A flag comes down as King is taken down at the first down line. Alfonso Marshall in on the tackle. Check the flag thrown by this whack officiating crew. And then illegal block will bring it back. Lee, as Jack Bicknell scours Louisiana and Texas for talent, Miami's in an interesting position. Larry Coker was telling us last night, they really have to be very smart. You say you go to Miami, it's got to be easy to recruit. Anybody can do it, but they've got to make sure that they do it the right way.
They have to. Their problem right now is selection. As he said, there's more than 20 football players throughout the country who want to come to Miami. And what they said, he said to us at dinner last night, Kirk, is that they must find a way to find the best players that fits into their program. Selection is the biggest problem they have. Who to take? Well, now that's not a bad problem.
No, it's not. It's a great problem. They do so well in South Florida, but they also have gone out to California and some other places throughout the country because Miami's becoming that name again for high school recruits that they want to be a part of this program, but they're also recruiting character. That's the one thing I don't know if people truly appreciate and realize around the nation, what kind of character is on the roster for the Miami Hurricanes.
McCown trying to set somebody up deep, comes back for an intermediate pass that is caught at the 32 by King. So Freddie King's been the hot man here on this drive, and they erase the flag with a 21-yard first down.
The impressive thing about that time is Luke McCown rolled to his left, and that's very, very difficult for a right-handed quarterback. But watch fundamentally as he squares his shoulders. Watch his shoulders square away and releases that. The most difficult pass for a right-handed quarterback. He did extremely well.
Where would Luke McCown be on the hose meter for his arm?
No, we watched him in warm-ups. We said, this guy can throw.
Yeah.
Avoids the rush and takes off. And gets about 8 yards. He's frustrated because he didn't want to go down. The coaches encouraged him this year, run more. And run more? He said, yes, run more. You are an athlete. You sit in the pocket all the time. We want you to be a little more athletic. And you'll see a lot of that from Luke this year.
Well, he's a great athlete. At one point against Texas A&M earlier in his career, he was outrunning the A&M defense, so he has some ability when it comes to that. But as far as his arm strength at the Manning passing camp this year, he has such a strong arm that a lot of the people that were there at this camp, and you're talking about NFL quarterbacks and college quarterbacks, they walked away thinking, you know what, he may have had one of the strongest arms at that camp.
Movement up front. Flags. It's an offside on Miami, so a free play, and it's incomplete. Out of bounds, intended for Trevisian Davis. The Manning passing camp, Peyton, Archie, Eli, the boys get there, and you get, as you said, some of the best quarterbacks, college and pros, camp for the kids, and then a great show-off for the big guys. See who's got the great arms.
Offsides. On the defense. 5-yard penalty. Replay. Second down.
Doc Punch, what do you have down there?
You guys talking about the Manning passing camp. I mean, they had Phillip Rivers and Green, the quarterback from Georgia, and a lot of people there. And the NFL scouts that were there were raving about McCown's arm. They knew the kid had good savvy. They knew he had a pretty lively arm, but they really were impressed with the strength of his arms. You saw a moment ago, but rolling to his left and just sort of on a half run, being able to deliver the ball on the mark 25 yards. So I think that helped him a lot going to that camp. He learned a lot, but also impressed a lot of people.
Good athlete, too. He can go up and dunk it on a regulation hoop. On the little long handoff to DJ Curry, picks up about 8 yards to the 47-yard line. We talked about his brothers earlier. I asked him about Randy and Josh. Randy, who was at Texas A&M, now is in business. Josh, who's the backup quarterback with the Arizona Cardinals. And I said, well, who's the better athlete? Who wins if you're playing golf? And obviously the guy who's not playing football anymore, Randy, said he would. So what about basketball? He said, oh, Josh would win, but if we had a dunk contest, I'd win. He was serious. It was fun. And he said, I can dunk. I probably contend pretty well in a dunk contest with our basketball team here at Louisiana Tech. And I thought he was kidding. He said, no, he can go between the legs and sky, over the head. He's got the full arsenal of dunks. Davis holds on to the ball as he's spun around and met first by Williams. And then Orrin Harris came in for a big shot. 92 out of Newark, Delaware. Some of that new blood up front for Miami. So we'll have third down coming up as we approach the 5-minute mark here in the first half.
Considering Louisiana Tech's breaking in 4 new starters up front. So far, I mean, it hasn't been perfect, but they've been holding up pretty well.
The impressive part is their defense has only allowed Miami's offense 7 points. That's not bad.
It's these turnovers, just like last year, that have hurt them.
Sean Piper, a senior receiver, number 83, is in the game. He's bottom of your screen. McCown throws that way with coverage. That pass is complete. It's a yard shy of the first down. You know, guys, the first down marker on this side that is not the chains is in a horrible spot here.
Yes.
It's about a yard away from where the chains are on the other side. So where that pass was thrown and caught, it looks like a first down. See this one right down here? You want to circle it for me, Kirk?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, partner. Mid-season form, that's good. But you see from the line where the chains are. And, Coach, you're going to go for it here, 21-3. You like it?
No. I don't like it for the simple reason it's more than 1 yard. It's almost 2 yards against the Miami defense. Now, 21-3, they're going for it. I'd say call timeout and punt it because 21-3 at the halftime is better than 28-3.
This is a player talking. I love the fact they're down 21-3 and they're playing the Miami Hurricanes. What the heck?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you.
I say go for it.
He called timeout.
Now
get over there, Coach, and punt it.
All right.
Jack, punt it. 21-3 ain't bad.
I'm the quarterback. I'm telling him, let's go, Coach. We can make it. We can make it.
Do you guys talk to each other during the summer to stay sharp, or is this just this just happens?
This is what you get. This is it. They're gonna go for it.
It's okay.
Come on, Jack.
Punt it.
We'll give him a minute to think about it. Why not?
Get over.
Miami 21, Louisiana Tech 3. Louisiana Tech is going to go for it here on 4th down.
Here we go.
And about a
Okay,
yard.
well, first guess, I say mistake. And you
I say quarterback draw.
I
out
say
of the
mistake,
shotgun.
whatever they do.
Spread them out and see if he can beat DJ Williams to the spot.
All they need is one.
Uh-oh.
He's going to throw, and it is caught.
I told you should have gone for it.
Move the sticks.
At the 44, Tremisian Davis keeps the drive alive.
That really was a sensational call.
Well, thank you.
I'm telling you.
I appreciate that.
Against all odds that I would have gone for it, what a great call by Jack McMillan. You're right. That's once.
All right. First half of the first game. Here we
It's
go.
a long year,
It is.
sweetheart.
It
Oh,
is.
you kidding me? Gosh. I'm just glad to get rid of you guys on Friday. 4 receivers and the lone back, Davis, who fumbled earlier on a key drive. McCown's getting time. Incomplete. Here comes a flag. It's against Miami. They knocked down Chris Norwood early. Alfonso Marshall's going to be whistled for it. Always got to let Miami fans know when you see the flag in the air that the flag's coming. They don't have to. And of course, reference back to the much discussed pass interference play at the end of the Fiesta Bowl overtime there.
Pass interference on the defense. Spot foul. Automatic. First down.
Well, as they move forward, a reminder for you that Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield presents ESPN Labor Day kickoff continues on Saturday with a doubleheader. Wisconsin takes on West Virginia. Guys, can Wisconsin win the Big Ten?
I picked them to win the Big Ten.
I think Michigan beats them.
I think Wisconsin's a team to beat.
South Florida, Alabama. Mike Shula's debut will be game 2. Anthony Davis, you'll see him for Wisconsin. Couple of seasons, 5 yards a carry, 24 touches, 3,000 yards. Wisconsin can run it. They'll try the Mountaineer defense in Morgantown. Noon Eastern after game day. This is first down. McCown on the run, put it up for Davis. He adjusted, but couldn't get back to the ball. So Davis was matched up the running back with Kelly Jennings, the nickel back. And Javon Nanton was putting on the pressure. Fans here wanted a pass interference flag, feeling Davis was trying to get back to the ball.
They got the last call. I don't think you're going to get this call. Anytime you're a receiver and you're looking left, you're looking right, he barely finds the ball until the last second. There's not any contact there at all. There was 2 guys just trying to find the football. I don't know why I guess they just want to get back in the game down 21-3.
You see Northern Illinois leading Maryland 10-7. That game's gone to half in DeKalb, and Chris, Trev, and Mark are back in the studio. They'll keep us updated on that and the other games going on tonight. 2nd and 10. There's the screen out of the gun for Davis. Hit from behind by Vince Wilfork. That guy is 6'2", nearly 350. And did you see the speed he had to go from the play to the pursuit of the running back, Davis?
About 25 years ago, I did a study on screenplays, and 80% of the screenplays are caught from the man from behind. And that's why we, instead of putting 3 men out, we put 2 men up front, and we always peeled back the inside guard, because 80% of all screens, and mark it down on your calendar, watch all the games, are caught from the guy coming from behind.
Well, and that's the thing that Miami, because this team loves screens, they emphasize to their defensive alignment. You read screen, defense alignment of the key, taking it away inside out, running it down.
They were in field goal range until Wilfork came up with that sack. So back-to-back plays by Vince Wilfork forces Louisiana Tech back to the 40. Tech has missed all 6 of its 3rd down opportunities, and now they're kind of in that no man's land.
Well, that's not so fast, my friend. It's only a 57-yarder.
I said Scobie has a good leg, their kicker.
Well, he had a 67-yarder in warm-ups.
And then one from 65. Josh Scobie, their place kicker, is excellent. But this is one of those where if you try a long field goal with that low trajectory and it gets blocked, the way tonight's going, it would be 28-3. Yeah.
They're going to go for it, looks like.
You'll let the clock run down here.
Think it over.
Take all the time. And take their final timeout before 4th down and about 16 yards. We're inside of 2 minutes here in half number 1. Well, we talked about Jack Bicknell. The name is so familiar. Jack Bicknell Sr. is the longtime head coach at Boston College, then went over to NFL Europe, is still coaching and very active in NFL Europe. it's got to be a great, all of us now as dads, you can really appreciate what a great compliment it is for Jack Bicknell Sr. Your son chose to get into a profession that took you away from work all the time, or away from home all the time. Jack Bicknell told us, Lee, I never thought of doing anything else in my life but be a coach.
But he also made an interesting point. He thought it was the best family profession because you always take your kids to work. Remember how he said it was in the dressing room?
Yep.
Jack Bicknell is one of the best young coaches in America, 40 years old. You brought an interesting point in our meetings. I believe it was 50% or over 50% of his losses have been to top BCS teams.
He's 22 and 25. This is his fifth year at Louisiana Tech. 13 of the 25 losses. Here are the teams. Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Florida State, Kansas State, Miami, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Texas A&M. That's half of his 25 losses.
It's a difference in philosophy. Some people believe in scheduling games that you're going to win in a non-conference, and he's trying to make a team known throughout the nation. He's trying to play the big boys out there. I commend him.
No question.
That's a tough task.
Dustin Upton is going to punt the ball away. Trying to get it to the sideline out of bounds, and he did a nice job. So it'll be out inside the 20-yard line. And the official will walk up to the spot, and he'll stop wherever he saw it cross. And it will start at the 10, 90 yards with a minute 51. And here's Chris Fowler to tell us what's coming up right after that 151. CF.
Well, snack time in the booth at the Shreveport means the Pontiac High Performance halftime report. What do you guys got?
Well, I'm going to tell you why at halftime, why Auburn's going to defeat USC on Saturday.
Well, and they happen to be the team I think is a little bit overrated right now, and I'll be able to tell you why.
So disagreements?
Well, it tends to be the,
We can count on that. We'll also look ahead to Georgia Tech and BYU later tonight on ESPN, too. That's coming up.
Okay, guys, see you in a little bit. Trev and Mark, good to see you guys again as we get the season kicked in here with you every Thursday night, except for next week. We'll be on ESPN2, make way for the NFL Countdown crew. First down run goes nowhere with Gore. Remember, neither team has a timeout remaining, so Miami can take this right down to the edge with 1:38 and a turning clock.
Well, Miami has had some turnover breaks that have gone their way. They have one offensive touchdown. They have 166 total yards, 167 total yards of offense, and only 28 yards rushing. That does not sound like Miami Hurricane football.
But the hidden yardage. 66 on the punt return,
sure.
78 on the fumble return. Far different outcome
I guarantee at halftime, Larry Coker and Rob Trzynski are going to have a few things to say to this offense to try to get him in gear.
Here is Gore trying to turn the corner, does just that, and picks up 15 yards, showing the speed and a little bit of his power to get out to the 25-yard line.
And one of the reasons why Miami struggled, Brock Berlin started out 5 for 8. A touchdown looked good. Remember, he rolled out to the right, dropped the ball. Yep. He's 4 of the last 11 with an interception on the situation. Brock Berlin has not played well since he rolled out and dropped the football.
But I think but I also think Louisiana Tech has made some adjustments and playing a little bit better defense against their passing game.
Gore again, 9 yards, 2nd and 1, no timeouts. Miami kind of hanging out here in purgatory. Do we want to kill the clock or do we want to get into a clock drive? Pick up another first down, you're up by the 35, and you may wheel and deal for the last half minute. Right back to Gore. He can break one at any time, too. So you're not exactly killing the clock. He gets 5 to the 41. First down with a half minute left. Once again, both teams out of timeouts. Gore has 11 carries for 66 yards. First action that he's seen in a while.
They don't appear to be in a hurry, do they?
Out of the shotgun, Gore saying, I can't call my number again. I am whipped. Berlin will throw. Incomplete for Winslow. There's no way that Lee Johnson, the strong safety, could stop on that one. Second down coming up, 24 seconds.
Kind of get that feeling that, Lee, you touched on it. We talked about anytime you're a heavy favorite, you jump out early. There's a tendency to maybe let your guard down a little bit. You don't feel that same urgency from Miami that we saw early in the game when it first started.
And remember, they scored on a fumble return, or else they would have been on that 14 now.
Yep.
Final 24 seconds here in the first half. Berlin is sacked. Sacked back at the 35-yard line. Trevon Brown Going to get half that sack as he made a big hit, and now Miami will take it into the locker room here to end this first half. It was Brown combining with Jamel Cage, who's been, well, a couple of times that we've seen him shake it up on plays, but he's gutted it through this first half, and these fans in Shreveport applaud the effort of their Louisiana Tech team. The big fumble, the big punt return. Other than that, their defense can be very proud. They held Miami to 7 in the first half. Jerry Punch with the Canes coach.
Coach, 21 points in the first half. They clicked early, but the offense looked to go out of sync then for most of the first half. Your thoughts?
Well, I think we did. We missed a golden opportunity. Had the receiver wide open. The ball slipped out of Brock's hands, and we've had some penalties, and we've wasted some timeouts, Jerry. Obviously, you know, we're doing a lot of things wrong in the first half. We got to get some things corrected, dial our energy level back up. We're playing pretty good defense. We just got to keep it up, keep the heat on their offense.
Thanks, Coach. Mike?
You guys hit it right on the head there. Got to get the energy level back up as well. 21-3 our halftime score. Miami starts the third quarter with the ball, but here's Chris Fowler with the Pontiac High Performance halftime report. Chris. Miami gets the ball to start the third quarter. The Canes have scored 1 on offense, 1 on defense, 1 on special teams to lead Louisiana Tech by 18. Now time to check the Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield halftime stats. Not a lot in the rushing game. Brock Berlin started successfully passing the ball, really tapered off as the half went on, but the hidden yards, the 144, that's on the Antrell Roll 66-yard first quarter punt return, and DJ Williams returning a fumble when Louisiana Tech had a lot of momentum. And guys, as we watch that first half, again, and talking to some of the folks up here, everybody's impressed with Louisiana Tech's defensive turnaround. And I don't want to say this too early because it sounds like you're bashing Brock Berlin. He hasn't played in a long time. But maybe as the season goes on, people will appreciate how good a quarterback Ken Dorsey was. Not that Berlin's playing bad, but it's not the way that we're used to seeing the Canes offense.
Well, we're not seeing him in sync the way Kenny Dorsey was able to do it, but it's the first half for this quarterback. You got to give him some time to settle in. This is an offense that's built around their running game, and 54 yards rushing in the first half doesn't allow any quarterback to get things going. So I think in the second half, you're going to see him run the football. They've got to be able to establish that running game, which will allow him to get back into sync and throwing the football. They build everything around their ability to run the football.
But you're right. It is so weird. You said it at the very start of the game. It's so weird not to see number 11 out there at quarterback. And in addition to Brock Berlin's pressure that he's handling tonight of coming back to Shreveport, where he was a legend. When he was the quarterback at Evangel, they were 45-0.
3 state titles.
They didn't lose a game. Yeah. So, you know, all that pressure of coming home, plus maybe will be the biggest, might be the biggest pressure of the whole deal, replacing Ken Dorsey, 38-2 as a starter. And that one play, Lee, that you pointed out.
Yes,
ball slipped out of his hand, changed everything.
Changed everything. And I think what it did is it lost. Well, right. That's okay. He lost
Josh
a little
Scobie's
confidence.
leg is huge. I'm sorry.
That's right. He lost a little confidence when that ball slipped out of his hand. And from then on, he was just an average quarterback.
Did you see that kick?
Yeah, I think it landed, up in the stands about 30 yards behind the goalpost.
He hit the S when Shreveport. Right there.
Okay, I don't know if we're going to see very many
right there.
legs
That's
stronger.
where it hit. Yeah. Look at that.
His leg is phenomenal.
Got to have one of the strongest, if not the strongest leg in the country.
His coach, Jack McNell, said, look at
He's
that.
loving it. He's like, I almost got out in the stands.
Yeah. Good. Through the goalpost should be a point, right? Jack McNell, his coach, said, I haven't had an NFL kicker before in my career as a coach, but it's got to be an NFL leg because he's that good. Here's first down for Berlin from the 20. Gore runs it up the middle and gets 3 yards to the 23. Frank had 66 yards in the first half. Home Depot coaching adjustments. Coach, what would you put on the bench and worked out for the second half?
The first thing I do is exactly what you just did there. I'd give the ball to Frank Gore and establish the run, and then I would fake the run, and I'd get that ball to Kellen Winslow. They have not got him enough times to touch the football. He's one of the best players in America. I would go with Gore and Winslow, and I'd go with them a lot right now.
Winslow has 2 catches for 16 yards here on the night. Quad Hill is the motion man. It's a Berlin throw on second down. And it's caught by the fullback Hill, knocked out of bounds by Antonio Crow before 3rd and short. Let's see what Doc Punch was listening to down in the locker room.
And as you might expect, guys, Larry Coker spent most of his time on the offensive side of the locker room, basically challenging his offense and his offensive line to be more physical. I heard those 3 words many, many times at halftime. Be more physical. We were totally out of sync, had no tempo. He wants to turn the tempo up, physically run the football, give good protection, and get it back to their Hurricane offense where they can they can dictate what they want to do. But physicality in the offensive front was what he challenged them with at halftime.
They go 2 tight ends here, Jerry. A 3rd and 2 chance to show that physical desire from the coach. On the give to Gore.
That's it.
Wasn't touched till 7 yards past the line of scrimmage, and a first down is picked up. The other tight end, Kevin Everett, number 84, came into the game off Coker's bench. And, you know, Kellen Winslow is a pretty impressive specimen. But this guy, Everett, out of Port Arthur, Texas, 6 foot, 240, and just looks exactly like they said on the conference call. Ricky Dudley.
He looks like just a raw stud. Nobody knows. This is his first game coming out of junior college, and he's going to be the future. You put him and Kellen Winslow on either end of that offensive line, you talk about a double tight end look.
First down throw, the speed of Roscoe Parrish. Well, it really looks like he was slowed by a knee injury a couple of weeks ago, doesn't he?
The reason I like that call, Mike, is we've been talking Gore, right? Well, they fake the ball and the Gore, and they draw the linebackers in and then throw the ball back to Parrish. Watch. Gore, fake. Good call, Kirk. I like that fake to him. Draw those linebackers in and let the curl area open up.
Yeah, but again, that's if you can get the running game going, you get the linebackers to come up. That's what this offense is so good at. And also the distribution. They throw it to the fullback. They throw it to the tight end. They throw it to all the receivers. They throw it to everybody. That's why it's so tough.
From the 33, this is an offside on Louisiana Tech. Free play for Gore. And he gets about a yard, and that will do it. And guys, on that last play, we saw the speed of Roscoe Parrish. We just kind of dismiss it now, but he had his right knee scoped because it was damaged on August 11th. This is what, August 28th? Doc can help us on that as we go into it a little bit later on, but how, you know, as amazing as the technology is with these operations with the scopes, 17 days later, it's not like he's out jogging. He's running past people.
It doesn't look like he's lost a step.
No.
I mean, that's the same burst and the same quickness that we saw last year. He's a big part of their season this year. You get Ryan Moore to come along with those other young receivers. Kevin Beard is the leader. But Roscoe Parrish is a big part of Miami taking a run to a national title.
After the offside, 1st and 5. Gore, coming off his reconstructive knee surgery, picks up a first down, a gain of 7. Jerry, how does that happen these days?
Well, you know what it is. It's outstanding medical care by John Uribe and company on the Miami sideline. But some players just don't swell very much. And what happens is you go in, you do a very minor procedure, clean up the knee through a scope. And if you keep the swelling down, you basically can get a player back on the field in 7 to 9 to 10 days. The prime example was Willis McGahee, who had his surgery after the Fiesta Bowl by John Uribe. McGahee hardly ever was a kid that would swell anything. So that's why his knee responded so quickly, and he came back so quickly and was able to be a first-round draft choice in the NFL draft.
Of the Buffalo Bills, who are just going to let him heal and get ready for most of this year. Berlin, a first down look and throw to the end zone, into coverage, incomplete. Quad Hill came out of the backfield. He has a chance to be a very significant contributor to this team at 6'2" and about 216 pounds. At fullback, he's a sophomore.
Miami, one of the few teams in the country that has a tailback playing the fullback position. And again, it's because they ask him to block. They want him to be able to run the football. And most importantly, they want him to be able to catch the football out of the backfield. Remember Najee Davenport all those years, catching the ball out of the backfield. Goes back to the versatility of the Miami offense and the way they like to spread it around. That fullback can't just be a big tank. He's got to be an athlete.
We've covered 59 yards on this drive. Gore covers more. 1st and goal for Miami. As I'll mark that one just inside the 10. The strong safety Lee Johnson prevented a touchdown after a pickup of a dozen. Gore closing in on 100 yards.
There's the versatility of the position. The fullback, he was just on a wheel route down the sidelines. Now they're asking him to run in isolation and pick up the middle linebacker and try to open things up. He hits the end, he comes off, he gets another block. Look at him seal that, open it up. That's a great job by Quad Hill. It tells you what he's about.
And Carlos Joseph, the right tackle, right guard, 6'6", 307, screened his man out of the way. It was a nice block.
1st and goal. They give it to Gore. Dancing through the hole. Pounding forward. Gets it down to the 2-yard line. Byron Santiago out of Violet here in Louisiana. Kept him out of the end zone.
Frank Gore gives Miami a completely different look this year. I loved Willis McGahee, but look at the movement, look at the vision, the ability to be elusive and find the open hole, and it looked like he was going to get maybe tackled for a loss, turned it into about an 8-yard gain.
We've seen what Larry Coker talked about at halftime. Jerry told us the mix of run and pass. 5 Gore runs on this drive. He's over 100 yards. And on the play fake, Berlin's throw for Everett is incomplete. That's Kevin Everett, the second tight end, who we spoke about a moment ago, looking for that first chance to touch the ball.
One of the reasons why we talked about giving the ball to Gore is because, as a coaching standpoint, Larry Coker was complaining about lack of energy. Well, one of the ways you get energy back is to go back like Ohio State and these guys used to do. Give it to the tailback, run the football, become physical, and you get more energy that way instead of that basketball on grass stuff. Go and hit somebody.
Definitely creates a tempo. And again, it allows him to do so many things off of that.
Winslow in motion. They put it in the hands of Gore. Can't spin away. The tackle will be credited to Jeremy Hamilton, but the play was made by T.J. Jackson, who had the interception earlier. His penetration forced it wide and will force Miami to try a field goal.
Also, it was a bad center quarterback exchange. That ball was almost not given. Watch Berlin. He doesn't even have the ball almost and hands it back to the guy.
I think he took a narrow step back, that first step, instead of taking a wide step. That is basically his own play to the outside. But regardless, T.J. Jackson got such good penetration, I don't know if it would have mattered.
Petty missed earlier from 44. He's good from 23 for his first field goal as a Miami Hurricane. Miami's opening drive adds 3. They lead by 21. Bicknell's defense has only allowed them to score 10 of the 24.
ESPN's College Football Thursday, brought to you by Ford. If you haven't looked at a Ford lately, look again. And Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the highlight.
Hope you're enjoying our season premiere of College Football Thursday on ESPN. Miami leading Louisiana Tech 24-3 here in Shreveport. And hope you are someplace where you can enjoy the game tonight on ESPN HD in high definition. As we mentioned, once the NFL season starts, you'll see a game in high definition every night. Our college football Saturday primetime, our Sunday night NFL, and ABC's Monday Night Football. And also, you can even go the next night on Tuesdays with the ESPN Original Entertainment Series Playmakers that debuted last Tuesday. We'll continue again Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 here in Shreveport. On the return, it's Chris Norwood. Has some blocks. They'll give nice field position to Louisiana Tech at the 36-yard line. Gent, the kicker, kicked him out of bounds after a return of 30 for the senior from Jackson, Mississippi. It'll be the next biggest city along I-20. You got Dallas 3 hours west. You drive, you hit Shreveport here, and you go another 3 or so, depending on how fast you drive, and then you hit Jackson, Mississippi. A little geography for you there. Just
bringing it down.
Sell you in.
Close to the barbecue triangle.
We got Rand McNally sitting right here next to us.
Luke McCown, the senior out of Jacksonville, Texas, who completed 60% of his passes last year, gets it to DJ Curry on first down. A lot of work to do there before Sean Taylor and DJ Williams knock him out of bounds. Jerry, what did Jack Bicknell talk about at halftime?
Well, he was praising his defense for holding Miami to only 7 points in the first half and was very, very pleased with them. Offensively, wanted to be able to run the ball a little more, but he got bad news that probably Ryan Moats would not play in the second half, so they're going to go out and try to open it up and air it out. They may even move the tempo up. Remember, they were a no-huddle team all last year. Look for some up-tempo here in the second half.
They've been no-huddle for a couple of years. Going away from it here tonight. This is complete on the run to Sean Piper. Pay the Piper inside the 20 down to the 16. First down. 44-yard pickup. The longest for the senior, Sean Piper.
Well, I don't know how fast Sean Piper is, but he's faster than the defensive backs from Miami. He gets this good catch right here. Kirk, watch the acceleration right here. He runs right past those guys.
Well, he left DJ Williams. Bo Sykes came over to make the play, but I tell you, as soon as he made the turn, the ball hit him right in the face mask. Great throw by McCown.
From the 15, squirming forward is Ralph Davis to gain just a couple of yards. That was the longest play in the career of Sean Piper, a senior who only has 6 catches. Davis is looking to come out of the game here now, and Moats is going to come back in.
Last year, the Miami defense tied an NCAA record, allowing only 9.5 yards per catch. That's amazing. And I tell you what, they're not as good back there right now, Kirk. I'm telling you, they don't react as well. Taylor does.
And they broke 4 new defensive backs in last year and had that record.
2nd and 9 from the 14. Out of the gun, McCown has pressure coming. Hits the hot man underneath. What a stick. Somehow, Julius Cosby was able to hang on. Sean Taylor.
All right. If you're playing Miami and you're coming across the middle, you want to keep out a look for the visor. When 2-6 is anywhere close to the middle, just get ready, because it's ear hole time.
How did he hold that ball?
That was impressive, but the shoulder went right through him.
Is he 6'3", 230?
He is a specimen. That's the best looking safety in the world.
He went from he changed visors from the
yellow
nighttime. It's easier to see
yellow mirror to the clear.
3rd and 3. McCown fakes one way, boom, back the other. Vince Wilfork gets Eric Franklin. Field goal time. Louisiana Tech has not converted a 3rd down all night.
Key in defending the screens like that. He rolled away from it. He's throwing back against his body to set up that screen. Here's the defensive line of Miami running it down again. Good job of recognition by the big fella, chasing it down and making a big play. It's 2nd time Vince Wilfork has been able to come out and slow down a receiver on a screen.
He looks as good as Warren Sapp did when he played at Miami.
Sure does.
You're right.
He does.
If he can drop a few more pounds, he is a
27-yard field goal attempt for Scobie, good from 35. It's an easy one for him from 27. Warm-ups coming out after halftime. He easily kicked a 55-yarder. He's a powerful leg. Wilfork and Taylor, 2 special players up the middle of that Miami defense.
I was born to be a leader. It's time to unleash it. Now is my time. This is my team.
Self-proclaimed as the chosen one. It's the nickname he wants to be known as. The son of the Hall of Fame tight end, Kellen Winslow Jr. Going to take those size 15 feet back out onto the turf here at Independence Stadium. He has been held in check. He will have to adjust to the fact that he's going to be an attention getter from the defenses all year round. And his dad knows what that's like. Is Kellen Winslow, the Hall of Famer, was such a great tight end in the NFL. But the beauty of Winslow's success with Dan Fouts and Eric Coryell, the Chargers, they have the John Jeffersons of the world around them to spread it out. That's what this Miami offense does to free up Winslow at times. Devin Hester from a couple of yards deep has a big seam, has the kick to beat, and Scobie slowed him down enough to prevent a touchdown. So Scobie, who's been nothing short of brilliant tonight with his kicks, didn't get the touchback, but saved a touchdown. Let's go check in with Chris Fowler back in the studio. Chris, what do you have here?
Well, Mike, Georgia Tech starting Reggie Ball out of Stone Mountain High School, a true freshman on the road against BYU. You expect a pretty basic attack. Use his athletic ability. 33-yard run sets up a field goal. Yellow Jackets on top, 3-0 over on ESPN 2. Maryland's offense still hasn't found the end zone since the opening drive, but they kicked the equalizing field goal, 10-10 in DeKalb, late 3rd quarter, guys.
And those 2 teams, Maryland and Georgia Tech, we'll get to see on a Thursday night, guys, in mid-October.
Wow, that freshman.
I guess that's how he won the job, huh? Frank Gore, 1st down run. Gains a couple of yards here. Let's go back to Kellen Winslow. We heard his comments. We talked about how he's come out as the chosen one. But he's got a lot of bravado, but he also has a lot of work ethic, and he wanted to become a better blocker this offseason.
That was the big focus for him, is getting stronger and becoming more physical. He came in as a wide receiver. You knew what he could do catching the football, but he wanted to get physical. Tonight he's not been able to make a lot of catches, but look at the blocking. I mean, this is what a great tight end does. He's able to come in and dominate. Look at him get physical. And the thing about him, he's got a little of that Jeremy Shockey in him. He looks forward to punishing people. That, more than anything, gets him excited. He is an unbelievable competitor. And he actually said that he gets that from his mom as much as anything.
This play is whistled on 2nd and 8 as the marker came down. Well, it impressed me as we spoke with Winslow during the week that he said, hey, I got better this year as a blocker in the offseason. Offensive false start to bring it back 5. I knew that that's where I needed to improve myself. And in talking with Jeremy Shockey, And knowing what the NFL tight ends are all about, that's a place where I have to get better. And that's where he dedicated himself this year in the offseason.
He said that route running, being more precise with his route running, and becoming a more physical and dominant blocker were the two things that he wanted to be able to do when he took the field this year. First game out, he's only got a couple catches, but we've seen that the blocking and working on that technique and that attitude that he's always had is being unveiled tonight in week 1.
Sonaris Moss, Santana's little brother, is in the game at a receiver. Gore up the middle. A lot of this from Miami here in the third quarter.
One thing I did notice about Kellen Winslow so far, he's been open a lot more than the ball's been thrown to him. To me, Dorsey had a lot more confidence in him and threw the ball even when he was covered. Berlin looks like he has to have him wide open before he throws the ball and looks other places. I like the way Dorsey and Winslow work together. It's going to take some time between Berlin.
Is that confidence in the guy or confidence thrown over the middle?
And watching Berlin, I think he predetermines some of his throws. I think he's, because of his youth, even though he's an older player, his youth as far as starting experience, he sometimes looks to who he's going to throw to before the play even happens.
3rd and 7, looked that way and completed it to Ryan Moore. Caught a touchdown earlier. And Ryan Moore, who physically reminds me of Rob Moore in the NFL. Obviously not related, but Ryan to catch a first down.
And see, one of the things that Brock Berlin's able to do in this case is he's had time. When he's had time to throw, he's comfortable sitting in the pocket. He's able to get back and make the throw. But the thing that he's going to have to do, continue to improve when they play the better teams down the line, is be able to recognize defense and make adjustments. That's what Ken Dorsey was so good at. People wanted to rip him apart for his arm. They wanted to rip him apart for other things. The thing that he could do is he could read a defense and distribute the ball.
Berlin has Parrish breaking downfield. He comes back to the middle and throws it complete to Winslow. He has it at the 21-yard line. That'll be a first down. So we thank Brock for listening to the broadcast as we're going on here. He rolls out and throws it to the middle to his great tight end.
Speaking of that, Ryan Moore, the guy he reminds me of, even when he was in high school and I saw him play basketball, is Michael Irvin. I think he's going to be in the class. You guys mark it down. That guy's going to be in the class with Michael Irvin. Is one of the really good receivers.
Really?
Oh, yeah, watch him, Mike. He's only a redshirt freshman.
I know.
Watch him. Guy's a player, Mike.
Great drive here from Miami. They're at the 22. Darnell Jenkins, another freshman receiver, is in. Frank Gore continues to run as markers are down. With the movement up front, Gore gets down to the 18-yard line. Frank coming close to 20 carries here on the night. And Miami will take that one and make it 1st and 5. Gene Semko and the officials from the WAC here tonight. Louisiana Tech won the WAC a couple of seasons ago. 4 wins last year. They finished tied for 6th in a league where the names aren't the football factories in Boise State and Hawaii and Fresno State, but there are teams in this league that you are afraid to play.
And Jack Pinnell in 1999 led Louisiana Tech to the first top 25 AP poll in the history of the school. Young coach that's on his way up.
Kevin Everett, the second tight end, is in the game. He's bottom of the screen. 4 more behind him and incomplete. Coverage by the backup cornerback, Derek Farrow, sophomore out of Indianola, Mississippi.
Accuracy. Yeah. Accuracy. For 3 years, we just kind of took it for granted watching this offense.
And it seems like in some way you can want to stop and you feel like you're beating Berlin up, but it's an appreciation of Dorsey.
Right. But for this offense to go to where they're capable of going this year and competing, again, making a run for a national title, he's got to be able to use his eyes and use the experience that he's going to gain to make the throws to the receiver and put it on the money.
It's interesting. Now, this is not second guess, this is first guess. And one of the reasons why I did not pick Miami to win the Big East and play the national title is I thought they were going to miss Dorsey more than they thought. You picked Virginia Tech. I picked Pittsburgh. We'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a great race.
I mean, it's going to be a great race in the Big East.
2nd and 5 from the 17. A little confusion there. Not the timing on this play, but you have Gore. That can put it on the ground and scrambles to get it back at the 10-yard line. Gore had it with possession as he was down, as he lost that football. It is yardage sufficient for a first down for Miami. So a little scare there for Gore. But that 20th carry will give Miami 1st and 10.
Talked about balance with Miami throughout this entire evening, and this is something you're going to see. Look at the way they not only separate the pass from the run, but also the receivers. 6 receptions. The tight ends get involved. The running backs get involved. Rob Chudzinski, the offensive coordinator tonight, has called 53 plays. 26 run, 27 pass.
Good.
That's balance. That's Miami
very,
football.
Very good.
Chud saying, oh, okay, great. Give me all that good stuff, and the offense had to take a timeout.
That's all right.
That's good.
First and goal from the 10 for Miami when you come back. Miami leading 24-6. Well, my woodworking buddies will join Mr. Fowler for College Game Day on Saturday in Columbus. And right after that, Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield presents ESPN's Labor Day kickoff continues with number 20 Wisconsin taking on West Virginia as the Big Ten goes up against the Big East, and a South Florida team that can cause some trouble will take on Alabama. That's at 3 Eastern, back-to-back, that double dip on ESPN Saturday, all part of 5 games, 13 games in 5 days on 2 networks.
I think Alabama's going to be better this year than people think, and we'll see. South Florida's a tough start, but
First and 10, Gore goes forward for 3.5 yards. I had said first and goal before the break. There's about 3 blades of grass between the first down marker and the end zone for Miami here. With 4 minutes left in the third quarter, only score of this quarter, a petty 23-yard field goal 4 minutes in.
I don't happen to think my man is right.
But Alabama?
I don't think Alabama's going to be that good this year. I think they got a chance to lose the opener. They're going to lose the second game.
Yeah.
That's 0-2 right out of the box.
You think they can lose to South Florida Saturday?
Absolutely.
I think if they win 8 games this year after everything they've been through, that is unbelievable.
Winslow split to the top of the screen. They look that way, throw that way, and what a catch! Touchdown! Yeah, Heisman pose in August is a little early, but plays like that get you the recognition like that. What a catch.
And what makes this tough is when he splits out, who do you put on him? A corner? A safety? A linebacker? I mean, it's a tough matchup because of that ability right there. He's got the athleticism of a wide receiver. He needs to knock that off first game of the year against Louisiana Tech.
He's got the athletic ability. Talk about
that's all right, but he still needs to knock that off. 3-29 in the first game against La Tech. Needs to stop. But the ability to go up, make the play as a receiver, but also the size at 250 pounds. It's a tough matchup. I don't want to learn.
Well, terrific catch from Kellen Winslow has given Miami a much bigger cushion here. 31-6 in the third quarter. Very impressive. They have looked much more like Miami here in this drive. And again, we have to remind ourselves over and over, there is no preseason. Your preseason is your opening drive of the year. You're right in the middle of it. And the adjustments at halftime, they look more like the Canes we've come to know. Mark Gent, a couple of yards deep, but still the choice to bring it out. Eric Franklin might think otherwise after that decision. Took it out to the 12-yard line, and a good special teams tackle by Marcus Maxey. Well, Vince Wilfork and the Miami defense will come back on the field. I mentioned it earlier, just a heartbreaking story for Vince Wilfork here this year. We had a penalty on the kickoff, and they're going to be forced to re-kick it. So while they reset for that and move everybody back 5 yards, get the kicking teams back out.
Encroachment on the kicking team. Re-kick.
He played a lot, but it's his 3rd year with the program playing. 1st year as a starter. They had so many great defensive linemen that they lost this year. His dad, David, died, suffered from kidney problems for a while and passed away last June, and grieving through the season, it was hard for him to keep his focus on football. And then right around the Tennessee game in November last year, his mom, Barbara, became ill, and she passed away in the time in December between the end of the regular season and the bowl. Both mom and dad in their 40s are both dying within a 6-month stretch, and you can't imagine how difficult that is on anyone, never mind a young man in his early 20s. Vince was really heartened on the way back from the Tennessee game. The Miami players, starting with Coach Coker, called Vince, who was with his mom, who was ill at that point, passed the phone around the bus to say hi to Vince, and we're thinking, you stay with your mom as long as you need to. And then he lost her. He comes back to the bowl game and plays against Ohio State. And a lot of people thought he wasn't going to come back to school for this year. Nice move on the kickoff return by Chris Norwood, who takes it out to the 23. Well, he became a father. His girlfriend, who he intends to marry here coming up next year, Bianca, gave birth to Destiny, who's now 6 months old. And like Daddy, she's big and fast. He said she's crawling all over the place. She's 6 months old now, wearing the clothes of an 18-month-old. She's 21 pounds. But he said he didn't turn pro because he owed this season to the university, to his team, for people being around him, standing with him, standing together, giving him the support to get through the most devastating 6 months any human could have. He's 15 credits from his criminal law degree and might also be a first-round pick in the NFL. He's a guy who's very easy to root for in this college football season. Screen pass to Moats, picks up 3 yards, or a marker's down on the play. And when we talked to him on the phone this week, when he started talking about his daughter, Destiny, I mean, you could hear that 340-pound smile of his. He is so proud of that little girl, and you just feel so good for him that he's got that in his life right now.
It was interesting to hear him say that no matter what happens during school or with practice, you come home and there she is, you know, just looks up and smiles at me, and he wants to you know, go and play with her and spend time with her. It's funny, he's like a big teddy bear when he sits there. At one point he's a football player, a gladiator, then he starts to talk about his little baby girl, and he turns into a completely different person.
And he fessed up. He said he is involved in the diaper changing process.
He did.
Jump right in there.
Done.
Not his favorite thing to do, but he does his fair share when he's home. After the offside penalty, it'll be 1st and 5 against Will Fork in this Miami defense.
And with the loss of all those great players up front, he becomes the anchor and the go-to guy, the leader of that defensive front for Miami.
McCown puts it in the hands of DJ Curry, who is stuffed by Taylor and Wilfork once again. Thomas Carroll was also there, number 90, but those two big fellows put him down quickly.
Interesting that with this lead and with Miami playing Florida next week, you see a familiar face in the ball game for the first time.
That's right.
Jonathan Vilma getting maybe a few reps just to kind of work some of the rust off, get him ready for the Florida Gators next week. You would think up 31-6 with the third quarter almost over, this game pretty well in hand. They would not need to do that, but like I said, maybe this is a situation where you want to get Vilma a little bit of work.
Top tackler of the last 2 years, slowed by a right hamstring injury. It's up in the air. Antrell Roll has a punt return for a touchdown, has an interception return for a touchdown on opening night. Mo Sykes the tip, and number 6 has the 6.
I just have to say, you go back to the 80s and the early 90s when Miami was winning all those national championships. What's the one thing that you think about? If there was ever a tip ball and an interception, it was a race to the goal line. Forget the guy carrying the ball. Who's going to get there first? And Antrell Roll takes it.
There?
Look at this, the whole team, they're all going. It's a race. Get in there, fellas. Get in there. Antrell Roll takes it in. Touchdown, Canes.
Sean Taylor, that great free safety, caused that by causing the deflection.
Good contact right at the point of attack.
Extra point by Petty is good. And Louisiana Tech was kind of in it, hanging around a little bit. 21-3. Excuse me. We're the Canes, and we're back.
That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
38-6 inside of 2 minutes left, and the whole fourth quarter still ahead.
Who's that?
Earlier, Antrell Roll had the punt return, 66 yards, to make it a 14-0 game. And one of the best corners in the nation here adds a 30-yard interception to give Miami a commanding 32-point advantage here with 2 minutes left in quarter number 3.
Mark Stoops, the defensive back coach, told me that one thing about Antrell Roll, why he's one of the most valuable players they have, is because of his versatility. He can play corner, he can play safety, and he can play nickelback. And with not a whole lot of depth right now, he becomes that hot commodity.
Eric Franklin is returning this kickoff. Monroe, the punter, was the man to kickoff, and he's tackled from behind at the 17 by John Beeson. Well, during the entire year, we will have the Thursday night mailbag. Right around lunchtime, ESPN.com. Every Thursday, you can log on, checking out the stories like you do at work. And you can ask questions to the booth, and we'll field them every week. This is from Jeff. I don't know who this was to. I guess both of you.
All right.
Who needs to be on upset alert this opening weekend of the season?
I bet you, Nickel, we both picked the same team. Had a bet, Nickel?
What? I think.
Ready? 1, 2, I say Georgia.
Yeah, I think Georgia, Clemson is. I think there's 4 teams in the SEC that need to be careful this weekend, including Georgia.
I told you we'd get the same one.
First down for Luke McCown, the senior quarterback. Going to do a lot of throwing here in these final minutes of this game. To Ralph Davis out of the backfield. Picked up 10 and a first down. Georgia Clemson on top of your list there?
Well, you're breaking 5 new offensive linemen going on the road at Clemson with an experienced defense. That's going to be tough. I want to see if DJ Shockley is going to play more just because of that youth. But I think Alabama's got to be careful in their football game. I think against South Florida. I think Tennessee against Fresno State. That's a game where you have to be careful. And San Jose State has a game under their belt. They're going to the Swamp to play Florida.
Oh, they're not going to beat Florida.
I'm just saying they have a game under their belt. Just be careful.
Sorry.
Florida, Tennessee, no problem.
Okay.
Georgia, wide receivers from Clemson. I think Clemson's going to beat Georgia.
You do?
Yeah,
Yes,
I think that
great game for Bowden.
I think they're going to beat him.
Of all those, that's the only one that I'm actually saying will win.
Good.
I think the others have to fight.
On the run, threw that away, and it's incomplete. Mentioned that Tennessee game. That's part of our 5 games in 13 days on. Gosh, I did that again. 13 games in 5 days on ESPN and ESPN2. Dr. Jerry Punch will have the call of Fresno State, Tennessee for you.
Bernard Berry comes back.
No, I think the guy told us, the commissioner, Mr. Benson, said he's
Carl
out.
Benson.
Benson said that he's
Is out? Is he out?
Yeah, out 4 or 5 weeks.
That's
Didn't
right.
he, Mike?
He did.
Oh,
right.
really?
Carl did.
Yeah, that's
Chris had
that
mentioned it earlier on the pregame.
That hurts. It's going to hurt them.
Third down for McCown. Same deal. He's just getting rid of the ball and trying to be the smarter guy. Baraka Atkins again with the pressure. Winslow's even catching the other quarterback's passes. Caught that one on the sidelines.
No Heisman stuff now.
Doc, what's the deal with that Fresno, Tennessee game?
Hey, guys, you know what? I think it's going to be a very good football game. I mean, the folks in Tennessee, the players themselves very embarrassed about their performance at the end of the year in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl against Maryland, which produced the largest margin of defeat in the history of Tennessee in 106 years. 27 points they lost to Maryland. They were very embarrassed, had a seniors only or upperclassmen meeting when they came back. Their run game is much improved. And you mentioned Fresno State's passing attack, very, very effective. We saw it on this field, or actually against Louisiana Tech a year ago when they dominated Louisiana Tech. Pat Hill is a very good football team, and they mentioned that Paul Penninger, their starting quarterback, who was freshman of the year in the WAC a year ago, will not be able to play in that game. Apparently, the commissioner telling us he was banged up, and then we'll go to the original quarterback that began a year ago. So I think 2 potent offenses. Tennessee much improved. Some question marks on both teams on the defensive front. Should be a good one at Neyland Stadium with about 104,000 watching.
I hate to simplify this, but Tennessee holds the cards in that game. They show up ready to go, get rid of that selfishness that was in that program last year. I know they had the injuries, but they had a lot of selfishness. That hurt Tennessee.
Upton punts it. It is returned to the 41-yard line by Roscoe Parrish. And Kellen Winslow in the offense will come back on the field here with 1:12 left. Actually, he's coming back across to the sideline. He was there on special teams. Watch this grab he made on the McCown incompletion. McCown just throwing it away. You know, that's his nature. I'm just going to go catch it.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Actually, that actually calls for the Heisman pose after that catch. Right?
that one, you live with it?
Yeah, you can do it on that one. One-handed, just palm it.
Yeah.
That is one of the very few times that a ball thrown away out of bounds has been replayed twice. But completely, we can see it again. It looks great. Well, Derek Crudup is in the game at quarterback, and he hands to Jarrett Payton, who bowls forward to the 48-yard line. Crudup in the game, has been in the program for a couple of years, now a junior out of Delray Beach, Florida. Backed up Ken Dorsey and played some mop-up role last year, and really was involved in something very uncomfortable for Larry Coker and the entire Miami program during the offseason when he lost the battle in the starting quarterback job with Brock Berlin. Berlin was named the starter during the end of spring ball, and Crudup was upset, and his dad, for the most part, led the charge on this. Kyle Cobia with the carry for a first down. His father, who had played quarterback, once was the backup at Florida, had a football career. They had the phrase race and racism, and said that may have been a factor in deciding who the quarterback was. And obviously it was very uncomfortable for everyone involved, but something that had to be addressed. and Crudup, the dad, all came in for a meeting with Dan Werner, the quarterback. So, some issues were raised with the language that Werner, they said, used in conversations and meetings. It was quickly dismissed by everyone involved, and as Peyton catches this and goes out of bounds on his gain out of the backfield. Larry Coker told us last night that, credit to the kid. He has come back. It has not divided the team. The team has stayed together, and it has not been as much of a problem as I think we all thought it would have been when we saw it in April and May come out in the news.
Well, I think they handled it very well considering the way it potentially was heading. Dan Werner's been a great coach. If you know him personally, you know that he's a stand-up guy and he's going to play the best guy. And I think that's the thing that Larry Coker said to us last night. This wasn't about race. This was about who had better control of the huddle, who had better command of this offense. He said that's what we're looking for out of our quarterbacks, and we just felt, regardless of who it was going to be, this is the guy that performed better. We're going to call him the starting quarterback.
Well, Crudup will have a quarter here to prove his abilities. There's going to be a lot of handing off. Off we go to the fourth quarter on College Football Thursday. Number 3 team in the country, leading by 32. In Shreveport, Louisiana, Miami leading La Tech 38-6. Tech, or Louisiana Tech is the way they prefer it. Louisiana Tech's campus over in Ruston, a great heritage in sports, this school. Karl Malone has a chance to be the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Terry Bradshaw, 4-time Super Bowl champion quarterback. Louisiana Tech products. Teresa Witherspoon, one of the finest women's basketball players. The throw to Devin Hester. Takes him inside the 20-yard line. A first down for Miami, so Crudup complete on his first pass of the season. Those of you who might just be tuning in here tonight, show you how our College Football Thursday has transpired with our ESPN game track. It was a 14-3 game. Louisiana Tech just hit a big pass down the field. And then the fumble that DJ Williams took back that really stemmed the tide. Antrell Roll has 2 touchdowns on the young season. 1 via the punt return, 1 via an interception return in the prior quarter. Crudup's throw is incomplete. Intended for Darnell Jenkins.
The score, as you said, Mike, was 14-3. A long pass. They were driving in. Everybody's excited. Boom, they dropped the ball. Williams goes all the way. They've outscored them 24-3 since then. And I felt right then that could be the play. And I said it. That could be the play. Not only lose this game, but it could really hurt this football team of confidence-wise. They came back pretty good. But, my gosh, they had a shot to go to 14-10 against Miami.
Yep.
And it ends up they get outscored 24-3 since that one mistake. Amazing. One mistake.
Peyton between the tackles, running hard. Jared Payton close to the first down. Mark at the 9.
You're not saying it's going to ruin their season.
I think it'll hurt them. Yeah. I think, you know what, the reason I say that, Kirk, because it hurt them last year. I mean, remember when Jack McNeil was telling us that when they lost a couple of those big games, they started losing their confidence, and they lost a lot of games to teams who were lesser than they were because they lost the confidence in the opener. I think that one play there is going to be really, really hurt them the rest of the year. I really think that. Right. Well, I'm just saying it because he's going to have a hard time getting these guys back. They look at 38-6, but it really isn't that bad.
It's not that bad, but they're playing one of the best teams in the country.
That's true.
You know, I mean, you could take something away from this game. Even though the reality set in is what happened. Yeah. And whether DJ Williams picks up the fumble or not, that's just reality of playing a team that's this good.
Peyton running hard, gets it to the 3-yard line. It's nice to see, I think, because there are so many people rooting for Jared Payton as McNeil watches his defense try to make a stand here. But Jared Payton also in this game trying to solidify that backup role. They have Tyrone Moss, who's a very good freshman back. And with the concussion problems, the year spent away from the program to be with his dad in his last days. Jared Payton, this is his last time around the block here at Miami, and he'd love to leave some sort of a mark over these last couple of years. Crudup stumbles on the way out. That's a couple of times Kevin Everett has broken free enough that he could have turned it up and gotten a touchdown, but he just gave me one of these quarterbacks, give me the ball. I'm a big target. Couldn't hook up with Big 84, their tight end.
Play has been there probably 2 or 3 times, rolling back the other way, and neither quarterback's been able to locate it, put the ball on the money for the touchdown.
You know, you see Peyton there. When he had 262 yards his freshman year, you thought, well, you know, maybe he can develop into a back. It's such a a blessing and a burden to be the son of Walter Payton, follow and be a running back. If he was a linebacker, it'd almost be different. There's a lot of pressure that he has to handle, and you root for the kid. He turns the corner here, smells the end zone, and gets in. Touchdown. And you know what that salute was all about. Kyle Cobia made the block. And for the 4th time in his Miami career, first time since the 2001 season, Jarrett Payton gets into the end zone for 6.
Well, they're working in some backups at the skill positions, but they're keeping that starting unit up front to get some work. And that was some great blocking, not only by Cobia, but the right side there of holding their people up and letting Payton get to the corner and into the end zone.
John Petty out of Countryside High School in Clearwater, who kicked a 57-yarder in high school and has earned his starting job. Doesn't kick on this one, and they let Mark Gent come in, who was right in there in the battle with Petty this year for that job. Jarrett Payton, the senior, back in the end zone for the first time in a couple of years. What a pleasure and honor it is to say Payton touchdown.
ESPN's College Football Thursday, brought to you by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And Saab, welcome to the state of independence.
This is the stadium known as Independence Stadium, where on New Year's Eve, traditionally we see the mainstay Independence Bowl come your way as part of Bowl Week on ESPN, which seems light years away if you think about it, guys, but the season goes so fast and every game means so much. Miami has made a very good statement here in the second half as Brian Monroe, the punter who's earned that job, is getting a couple of kickoff opportunities. The lefty line drive that one. Decided to take it out. And the return out to the 30-yard line. Surprised at the decision by Alexander makes the tackle on that return. Let's go down to Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc?
Guys, let me show you an experimental cooling device developed at Stanford University that a few universities are being allowed to try, and University of Miami has one. This is called a rapid thermal exchanger. I'm going to have my assistant John put his hand in. That's because it's experimental. I'm not going to put my hand in there. Okay, John, put your hand in. I'm going to turn the machine on, and what it does, you put your hand in, you turn the machine on, it inflates a cuff around your hand, circulates cold water through this silver dome here, and can lower your core temperature by 2 degrees in 2 minutes. It was developed by watching bears in the wild lower their body temperature by putting their hands down in cold streams and cold rivers, and it's very effective, I'm told, by the University of Miami. They used it all in August. And this machine, experimental in nature, but developed by an animal science professor at Stanford University. And in about 2.5 minutes, you can go from 102 degrees coming off the field down to about 99. So very, very effective here, being tested by the Hurricanes on their sideline.
Doc, is there no problem trying to get somebody's core temperature down that quickly? Is that not any danger to an individual?
Not for the small surface, not for the small surface here. You're only using the palm of the hand. That's why they studied the bears in the wild. They had that pad in the palm of their hand. They're covered in fur. They can't cool off in the summertime, but that pad cools them down just appropriately enough, and that's all it takes is the inside core. That cooling comes pretty quick.
Maxie Causey is now in the game at quarterback. An experienced veteran, senior from West Monroe, Louisiana, is just a few steps shy of the first down. Causey threw 20 balls last year. He's in the game. Well, now, guys, at least we know what a bear does in the river.
Well, I have a question. I'd like to know.
I don't know if it works.
I know from Doc, how many of those do they have down there?
Of those cooling cups?
Yeah,
there?
how many do they have?
They just have this one that they're using here at Miami, but the fact that it works so quickly, I mean, not everybody. I mean,
line them up.
You put your hand in, and they're using a couple other. I mean, a lot of schools are looking for things to experiment with, and they've done this worked very effectively. They practice in Miami, I was told by Scott McGonigal, with a heat index up to 122 degrees 2 weeks ago in Coral Gables. So something like this, very effective. It cuts down on having to use IV fluids. Very effective. It could be a significant innovation in the future for practicing in hot temperatures.
3rd and 1, and the running back Danny Wilson is stopped. Flag down.
Heat index 122. Can you make one for the whole body? Can I just kind of slide in there? I mean, that's a little bit too hot.
The doc just told you that wouldn't be healthy for you.
It's not good.
No,
offside. It's 122 on the heat index. I think it would work.
Offside will keep this drive alive. Well, if you only have one, here's what you do.
That's what I said.
Sean Taylor in there first. That's right. Vilma or Williams, and then Wilford. You find out if you're the best player on defense to see if you get the cooling cuff first.
The problem with that is, with the Bears, they're all lined up. They don't have to play. They can, they can all put their head in. But by the time they get these things, the game's over. By the time you cool off, if they got one, right or wrong?
Oh, the Bear.
The Bear.
First down from the 45 after the 5-yard offside penalty. And Causey's throw is deflected and goes incomplete. You know, we talk about the cooling thing and the experimental nature of it. How about our buddy Jackie Sherrill in Starkville?
Ooh.
With Oregon playing Mississippi State, a game that'll be seen as part of our 13 games in 5 days on ESPN and ESPN2 this weekend. Oregon with Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, president and CEO of the company. They invented these cooling vests to kind of put under the equipment, and Oregon has them. Phil Knight has given a lot of money to University of Oregon. Well, Oregon's playing Mississippi State. Mississippi State also has a contract with Nike to provide uniforms and clothing and such. And Jackie Sherrill said, wait a minute. How come they're trying them in our game down here and we don't get to try them? This is originally a big bone of contention when the game was being played in the afternoon. It has now been moved to a nighttime game that you'll see on ESPN2. So maybe that won't be as big a problem for Jackie.
Well, they send him. They sent Jackie.
He got him.
He got him
He was
Friday.
concerned he got him after Oregon.
Well, he's going to get him Friday, right? And he said, can you imagine putting him on and things don't work and all the guys go, he sabotaged his team.
That's true.
What's the score?
45-6 lead. It is 3rd and 7, and Causey's throw is complete. That'll be just shy of the first down as pass was caught by a good-looking freshman who they like, Jonathan Holland, out of Archibald, Louisiana.
Well,
True freshman, first time he's caught the ball, and the coaches think there'll be a lot more in his Louisiana Tech career.
You know it's a bad night when you're talking about Bears cooling down.
Cooling their hands down in the river.
In a river, and Nike trying to steal a game.
How about this?
Hey, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Remember, Chick-fil-A did not invent the chicken.
What did they
Just
invent?
a chicken sandwich.
I've never heard you say that.
Oh, I get a bunch of chicken sandwiches free now.
4th and a yard as Louisiana Tech goes for it here, and Causey on the head. First down run for Danny Wilson. So that'll keep the drive going out to the 35-yard line. Well, we mentioned our terrific slate of college football this Labor Day kickoff weekend. ABC Sports has a regional action, games throughout the day, and in prime time on Saturday night, where College Game Day will be. In Columbus, Washington taking on Ohio State. And the season opener, a conference game in the ACC, as Florida State takes on John Bunning's North Carolina team, trying to turn around its year from last season. It's on ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series. Check your local listings or ESPN.com, keyword ABC Sports, to find out which game's on in your neck of the woods. Pass is incomplete. Brandon Merriweather broke that one up.
Get the push-ups, Sandy. Drop the ball. Get him in. That's it. Show that discipline.
Miami does that in practice, does that during the season as well. It starts with their DB coach.
Defensive back coach Mark Stoops. Laying the hammer. I was ready for Sports Center. There's Mark Stoops.
Yep.
Took defensive backfield last year with 4 new starters and #1 defense as far as passing efficiency in the entire nation.
Of course, brother of the guy who's made such a difference in Oklahoma, Bob, #1 team in the country. Long ball is incomplete. Intended for the freshman Jonathan Holland again.
How about Merriweather? Middle of the game, up 45. It's like second nature. You don't even think about it. It's just in practice. It's ingrained in your brain. So drop a pick, got to go down. Give me some push-ups.
You guys are heading off to Columbus to meet up with Chris for the first regular season edition of College Game Day, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. College Game Day built by Home Depot. You see Louisiana Tech has not been able to convert a third down all night. They finally do. What? Is that a catch? Yes, it is. Saw the ball come out. Nope, they say no. Okay, Julius Cosby had it. Thought he might have been down by contact, but it is ruled incomplete. It'll be 4th down.
Official from the top came in to wave this off. I was with you, Mike. I thought it somehow stayed on his chest, but it clearly touched the ground. Right there is where it looked like he played it off well. Official's been all over tonight, week 1.
You want to go for a long field goal here? We've been,
this is great.
Pumping Scobie. early Luke Groza candidate?
Now watch this. I don't want to jinx the guy, but this is good.
You know what's going to happen.
Josh
It's not going to get
Scobie,
blocked. He gets it up too high, too fast.
52-yard attempt, 1 of 2 from beyond 50 yards last year. A couple in his career.
Good from 60.
I mean, watch
Look,
how
70.
deep it is.
Look at that.
Oh,
I'm telling you right now,
I'm
he's the
telling
best
you.
kicker in the nation.
So see, you hang with us in a 45-6 game, and what do you see? You see the early front runner for the Luke Groza Award.
Anybody who makes a 67-yarder in warm-ups, a 52 is a gimme.
45-9 in Shreveport.
Never say.
Mike Lee Kirkendock back with you on College Football Thursday from Shreveport. 45-9. Louisiana Tech trails. But they come away with a positive tonight. Josh Scobie has proven what a great kicking prospect he is. The senior made it from 52 with at least 15 yards to spare on that field goal. No matter what, Brock Berlin will walk away very proud of this night. It is probably the only time in his career that he will get to play a game in his hometown. Grew up 10 minutes from here. Played high school games in this stadium. Look at this Scobie. He kicked it to the end line easily. Pushing and shoving behind the play as they continued the block. And a penalty marker is thrown on Leon Williams.
You know what the official called that? I think he called it for the celebration of giving a guy 5 after they knocked the guy down. If you're going to call the penalty, it should probably be called on the unsportsmanlike for the hit, not for giving your teammate 5.
It should have been a penalty at the end of the day. So,
Personal foul.
no matter what
On the
the
receiving team. Half the distance to the goal.
thought was, it's the right
First
thing.
down.
So this drive will start back from the 10 with Derek Crudup in at quarterback for Miami. Brock Berlin's entire family has Louisiana Tech ties. Dad went to school there. His sister's going to enroll or move in here in a week or so as she starts. His brother was a wide receiver for the Louisiana Tech football team just last year. Teammates with a bunch of these guys. John Beeson, the freshman with his first collegiate carry, gains a couple of yards. But he came back home tonight to Shreveport. 45 games, 45 wins. Evangel is just a powerhouse, the likes of which you don't see in many states around the country. They play the championship game in the Superdome in New Orleans, and Brock Berlin showed the state fans all around. This is a couple of years ago now, how powerful his arm was, and he was not just a guy who was known around Louisiana. He was the National High School Player of the Year. Tyrone Moss, another freshman, getting his first carry. There's the record. 13,900 passing yards and 145 touchdowns for Evangel Christian Academy here in Shreveport. A school that, because of how powerful they are and their recruiting ability, as you get with some of these elite schools, you know, and the whole private public on each side of the road, that constant battle that goes on in every community where there's a good high school football team, they have a tough time finding games to play here. That's why they're playing teams from, 5 different states during their 2003 schedule. Moss with the carry.
The 45-0 in the 3 state championships, and I know he has a lot of the individual numbers, but that's the thing that stands out and tells you about him, what kind of leader he can be.
It's 45-0 in a great high school football state, you know, up there with the top 5 states that we talk about all the time. The title quest has been successfully navigated by Berlin in the Superdome, as he won one of those high school titles there, and we'll have the chance to do it again here on the collegiate level. The BCS championship game is in New Orleans, January 4th, I think, this year is the title game. Just a couple of yards there for Tyrone Moss. While we dip back into the Thursday night mailbag, boys. This is from Grant. How you doing, Grant? Is Brock Berlin going to be ready for the Gators game next week? That's Miami's game in the Orange Bowl in 9 days.
Good thing is he's going back to the Orange Bowl to play that game. I think from Miami, it's Miami's offense. It's not just Brock Berlin. They've got to get back to being physical from the get-go against the Gators. The Gators are going to be athletically challenging them much more so than what they saw tonight from Louisiana Tech. And they have to be able to get the ground game going. And I think if they can do that, then Brock Berlin can be okay. But he's got to learn also to read that defense a little bit better. I know it's first came out, but he can't predetermine where he's going with the ball.
Crudup is pressured, and Derrick heads to the sidelines. He's tagged there by Michael Johnson. Back to Brock Berlin's evening on his return to Shreveport.
Well, he started off pretty well here to Ryan Moore for the touchdown early in the game. That was man coverage he was able to beat. He looked to be in some rhythm. Here's Roscoe Parrish. He was making some good throws and delivering the ball with accuracy. Winslow goes up to make the catch. Lee pointed out after the ball slipped out of his hands.
That's right.
He seemed to kind of lose his confidence, and I think Louisiana Tech maybe also changed their scheme around a little bit, defending Miami a little bit better.
The opening drive each half, guys, he looked as best as he looked all night. Crudup on the run. The pass is caught by Devin Hester, who has some blocks.
This is the guy, right?
He's got ridiculous speed. He's out of bounds at the 24-yard line, and this is one of those tough spots for Larry Coker. You're throwing the ball 45-9 because these guys need to get some experience because you don't know when they're a play away.
They say that guy's a special athlete, but I'm going to predict something. Watch this guy number 30, Tyrone Moss, when he gets the next ball. He averaged over 9.4 running the ball his entire high school career. That guy is a player from Pompano Beach. I can't wait to see him explode. What? Boom! He's going to fly. What a player he is.
Miami's one of the programs that they don't rebuild, they reload. Of course, these are all freshmen we're getting a look at. And not only freshmen, true freshmen.
True freshmen.
And to see them, it looks like the guys last year. I mean, they just come right in athletically, and they don't miss a beat.
There is Moss, about 4 to the 18. Chris Fowler, I guess you have an update for us.
You guys well acquainted with Provo, where they expect a bounce-back season from BYU, but an error-filled first half with Georgia Tech. Kenny Scott blocks the punt. Nathan Burton runs it back, and the Jackets jump on top 13-7, approaching halftime at the Wasatch Mountains. Northern Illinois at 81-yard, 18-play drive for a tying field goal. They appear headed for overtime against the Terps. We'll keep you posted.
Wow. That's the number 14 team in the country.
Great stuff out there.
Fowler's in midseason form.
Oh, he is.
He dialed in. Crudup on second down. Pass caught by Darnell Jenkins. These are got to be tough snaps for Louisiana Tech's defense to play. Kevin Brown starting out there at corner most of the night. Comes up and makes the stick as we move inside of 5 minutes.
Here, Fowler's little Provo pop he gave us. It's nice.
Love Provo.
Oh, it's great.
That sandwich shop we get lunch at?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Look forward to that.
Nice?
Yeah, we have Boise State out there. Boise State, a team that could be the best team in this Western Athletic Conference that Louisiana Tech is a part of. Boise State, Hawaii, Fresno State will be the top 3 teams in this league. And some people question if Larry Coker's Miami team will be the best team in this final year of the Big East. They're still the Canes, I'm sorry. Pick them until you see some slice of evidence otherwise. Incomplete, intended for Devin Hester.
Going back to that Florida game next week, this is not the same Florida defense. Florida, University of Florida Gators lost 9 of the top 11 tacklers on their football team. I don't think they're going to be as good, anywhere near as good as they have been in the past, especially defensively. I think Miami's got a good chance with that nice offensive balance to really do a great job on them next week offensively.
Especially catching them away from the swamp.
Exactly.
But I think Larry Coker, starts to get a lot more respect nationally, not only for the job that he's doing in coaching, but also, guys, now it's starting to become his team. You're starting to see the players he's recruiting, what he's done. It's no longer Butch Davis's talent and Larry Coker's coaching.
But remember one thing he said, I think it was like 16 out of 17 guys graduated.
Right. John Petty, 32-yard field goal. We've had 57 points scored here tonight. 48-9, number 3 Miami on top here on a rare trip by a team the caliber of Miami on the road, especially here. They come to Shreveport. They're coming up on Sports Center, complete highlights of this game, everything that's going on in college football with a lot of games. And on ESPN News, we'll have live coverage of the Miami press conference. Their head coach, Larry Coker. So that's all coming up right after the game on ESPN and ESPN News. Jonathan Holland, the freshman, gets a chance to return a kick. He's taken down to the 13-yard line. So Louisiana Tech will come back on the field, try to get its first touchdown of the night. Back in a minute in Shreveport. Loyal Louisiana Tech supporter there. 48-9. Bulldogs will take on Louisiana Lafayette next week. They don't play a game on campus until October the 4th. They have this one game as a home game, then the 3 road games right after that, and then we'll play on campus at Joe I.A. Stadium in October. Let's send you back studio bound. Chris with an update on Maryland, Northern Illinois.
Yeah, great finish following a roughing the passer call against Maryland. They go to P.J. Fleck. How are you going to stop P.J. Fleck? He makes the catch. Clock ticking down. 5 seconds to go. Steve Azar for the win. But it's blocked by Maryland's Curtis Williams with 1 second to go. We are headed for overtime in DeKalb.
Ooh. So Maryland trying to fight to win on the road against Northern Illinois tonight. Good long passing catch. It's out to Eric Newman. And Newman takes it into Miami territory here. Merriweather pulled him down. Louisiana Tech trying to get that 1 touchdown here on the evening before we call it a night. I mentioned what people are saying. The game at Pittsburgh is going to be for the Big East Championship. The preseason media poll, the final year of the Big East, has predicted Miami to be on top with Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech 2nd and 3rd. You'll see West Virginia against Wisconsin, noon Eastern on ESPN, and on down through BC. Syracuse trying to rebound from its bad year, and Temple and Rutgers down there. At the bottom, Temple actually picked ahead of Rutgers in the preseason poll. 1st and 10 from the 34. Trying for it all. Incomplete. Out of the hands of Sean Piper. Almost had it.
So who do you like, Mike, in the Big East this year?
I leave predictions to you guys.
Oh, okay.
I'll just bring up a perspective point. Miami's won a bunch of games in a row.
Yeah.
Miami is like 8 points away from being 39-0. Their 2 losses here in what will now be 40 games was by 5 at Washington, 34-29, back in September a few years ago, and the double overtime loss in the championship game to Ohio State. I know they lost a lot of people. They're still darn good. I know Pitt's getting better. I know Virginia Tech's better. I know where they play their games, but this is the Canes. I mean, come on. Let's deal with reality.
Yeah, for a guy didn't want to give a prediction. I think he just gave a heck of a prediction.
I just stated facts.
Oh, okay. Well, you just said, come on, it's the
Who do you like if you don't like
it's Miami? He just said Miami.
Okay.
I haven't seen a shred of evidence that would let a person lead towards picking somebody other than the Miami Hurricanes to the Big East title.
You like Miami?
I'm going with Pittsburgh because I don't think Brock Berlin can take them undefeated. I think they'll miss Dorsey more than they think.
I think you're right about that. They've got to go to Virginia Tech, got to go to Pittsburgh. I like Virginia Tech because they get Miami at home. And I think Kevin Jones is going to have a huge year.
Incomplete pass. They're on 3rd and 20.
I like it. I like Pittsburgh because it's going to be freezing.
On November 29th.
Hello. It's going to be colder than cold.
We'll see who picks up the check for dinner at the bowl game for us at the end of the year.
Miami.
Coming up on SportsCenter, Scott Van Pelt and Stuart Scott. Hurricanes, fact or fiction. We'll test what you think about the Canes, the wild NL wildcard spot, and spotlight on NFL quarterbacks as many teams play their final preseason game. Stu Scott and Scott Van Pelt have those stories. Boy, Scott's going to be a basket case tonight. Maryland Terrapin alum. They're
going to have to call him into the studio and let him know SportsCenter's about to start.
Stu may have more highlights than Scotty on that show. That's coming up as soon as we're done. And it is out of bounds and a touchback. Miami will take over from the 20 when we come back with 2 and 13 to go. Time now for our Wrangler 5-star player of the game. It's Antrell Roll, who took a punt back and an interception for a touchdown here tonight. Antrell Roll, our Wrangler 5-star player of the game. The junior out of Homestead, South Dade High School. He's the number 5 tackler in terms of numbers last year for Miami. Off to a great start here. Derek Crudup, the backup, stays in. Slang comes down as Tyrone Moss gained about 8 yards on that carry.
Well,
5-yard face mask on the defense.
There's
Yes,
205.
yes, Kirk.
There's 205 to go here in the fourth. And I know Rob Chudzinski likes balance, but I think he's going to have to start to lean a little bit to the run. I'm thinking he's at 39-35 in favor of the run. I think he may just go ahead and run it out, and maybe get up to 45-35. Work it out next week. Try to balance that number out. Come on, Rob.
I like the fact that as you guys go towards Washington, Ohio State for game day, our slate of games that continues every night here through Labor Day, the 13 games coming up in the next 5 days.
What a way to start
so
the year.
so many good games here on week one.
Oh.
Week one has had one good game, a couple of okay, and a bunch of dogs, to be very candid. And there are a lot of bigger games here in week one this year.
Do you think there'll be any game this year? Listen to this. They'll have better looking athletes than USC and Auburn. Oklahoma, Texas, maybe. But you know the best looking athletes in America will be right there in Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah. Just the linebackers and the defensive linemen alone on both teams.
Both teams.
That's it. I mean, your Florida State Seminoles and the Miami Hurricanes, when they get together, there's a few athletes out there.
Yeah, but not like, I don't think.
I don't know.
USC guys look like they're from Mars.
USC starting to get, look back.
Lee, I'm glad you mentioned that, because in a couple of hours, if it stays clear, Mars will be very close to the moon, and we'll get a great look at it tonight.
I looked for it last night. It was too many clouds.
It's a little clearer tonight. Unfortunately, a Louisiana Tech player has been shaken up on the play. It's the last thing you want to see here. 59 seconds in the game, just trying to get the game over and get out as healthy as possible for the next game in 9 days. The Bulldogs suffer an injury here in the final minute.
I don't know if I've ever seen a stadium this empty.
It emptied out quick.
They cleared them out, didn't they?
The crowd tonight was 43. James Atkins, the injured player out of Hattiesburg. Speaking of which, we will see the team from Hattiesburg next week. Southern Miss taking on UAB. It's our ESPN 2 game.
How about when we go there with the big red from Nebraska?
That's right. We have
going into Hattiesburg.
Back-to-back Thursdays, the end of September, we have Texas A&M at Virginia Tech, and then Nebraska at Southern Miss. It'll be a lot of fun.
You got to give Dave Brown a lot of credit, ESPN, getting those good football teams in there, right?
Doing a great job.
He did a great job getting them in.
Brownie getting a pop here in the final minute.
There's nobody watching.
Well, everybody's watching because SportsCenter's next league. People stay around. West Virginia, Miami, Kentucky, South Carolina, Clemson, NC State, Maryland, Georgia Tech. That's just our schedule through October. Going to be a fun year on Thursdays. Great way to start the college football weekend. Moss's carry should just about take care of business if the clock is taken care of properly. A headline thought from you guys as we head out the door here to SportsCenter.
Well, concern about Miami coming in. Defensive line. Were they going to be okay? Tonight they looked incredibly fast. Looked like same old Miami. I think for them to be able to get to where they want to go, Brock Berlin's going to have to play more consistently, and they're going to have to get that running game going with Frank Gore.
Louisiana Tech showed some really good signs. They fumbled the ball. The guy went all the way and then went right down. He's got to bring them back because they can win more games than they lose, but it's going to be a long way.
My headline is that guy, Brock Berlin. He waited 20 months. Only game in his life. I don't think Miami's going to be in the Independence Bowl in the next couple of years. Only game in his life he'll probably play in his hometown, and he walks away with a 48-9 victory. He's back playing football. He knew Luke McCown from their days here in this area, and he will have the chance next week to see another one of his old teams as he takes on the Florida Gators coming up in 9 days. Our final score, 48-9, Miami wins. Coming up next, SportsCenter on ESPN News, live coverage of Miami's post-game press conference with Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Jerry Punch, Mike Tirico. Thanks for watching this presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Good night from Shreveport, and off we go to SportsCenter.